little thing, whatever. We're gonna fair use Trump's speech from Arizona. I do have Jimmy YouTube with me,
Hello.
and we may bring some. If somebody else decides they wants to click on the link that's out there, whatever, they may come in and join us. For now, again, we just wanted to watch the rally. Obviously, we'll pause it and we'll comment as we go through.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
I suppose.
And gave their life for me, and I'm gonna stand up
next to you, defend her still today.
There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Just throwing hats out there, but yeah, I mean.
Oh, the vibe, man. It's such a good vibe.
Right? It's too bad we can't actually just play the music.
I know, but that's okay. I don't mind rocking out with you. Man, look at these people. They just love him.
There's just so many people that just love this man.
Yeah, I know.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Does anybody have more fun than this guy?
I really don't know about that. Thank you. Thank you.
I think he's letting his hair gray. Might be going for a new look.
I mean, the man is pretty old.
He is.
Stand up next to you.
Defend her still today.
And there's just so many people that show up for this man. It's ridiculous.
I guess YMCA just wasn't the vibe tonight.
Oh, that's what he usually goes out on.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Oh, that's a big crowd out there. I tell you what, the cars are stretched. They say 25 miles. Now, will the press report it today? The New York Times showed a picture of the seats being put down, and nobody was here because I think the picture was taken yesterday. The cars, they just said they've never seen anything like it. It's a great honor to be with you, and I love Arizona. We had a tremendous victory in Arizona that was taken away. I just want to wish everybody a happy new year, and we're going to have, I think, a great year. Last year we had a rigged election, and the proof is all over the place. We have a lot of proof, and they know it's proof. They always talk about the big lie. They're the big lie.
Susan, so you know, Joe Biden is our elected president. Just saying, we're not, disputing that at all. We're just listening to what this guy has to say.
But the fake news and the lamestream media refused, and they refused to talk about it. They continue to refuse to talk about it. They say, while it is unsubstantiated and the big lie is a lot of bullshit. That's what it is. Because they're in the pocket of the radical left Democrats, the same people who are destroying our country, and they're destroying our country. And you have no doubt about it. We've had more problems, we've had more destruction, I think, than 5 presidents put together in the last year. On top of it all, people are being persecuted for using freedom of speech. You talk about the corrupt election, but more and more information is coming out, and it's coming out far worse than anyone ever thought it could be. And it would be a lot easier for me to go out and enjoy my life and say, you know what, we did great. You know, I ran twice, and we won twice, and we did better the second time. We did much better the second time, you know, that 12 million more votes. I always say we ran it twice, but we did a hell of a lot better the second time. This crowd is a massive symbol of what took place because the people...
I caught leftist media saying something about these guys here wearing the Blacks for Trump shirts. They're like, oh, they always make sure that they're actually sitting right behind so that they're on camera every single time.
You damn right.
Of course they're going to say that. Are they going to pan
right
through the rest of the crowd to show us the rest of the crowd?
Hell no.
Right. I mean, why wouldn't they wear the shirts or whatever?
The reason they're sat there is to show the media straight up that that's bullshit, that there's nobody, that they're trying to make it so that they think that they can't vote for him if they look a certain way, right? And
right.
putting those people behind him like that. What's that?
Right. You see this guy that's on this side, his backside of his shirt. It says Republicans are not racist.
Yeah, I do see that. Oh, that's beautiful.
Right? Because it's the truth. It's the Democrats that are. But, you know, everybody can have their own opinions and think the way they want. But
what do you think about taking back the word liberal?
And you're like, no, that's a lie. No, you can see it right out in front of your face. Go grab a history book. You'll actually see what I'm talking about.
Are hungry for the truth. They want their country back. They want their country back. Between the open borders and the bad elections, and we were always thought of a beautiful country that had fair elections, and now we're a laughing stock all over the world for many reasons. 2022, despite so far being a total catastrophe for our country, is going to be a big one for the people of this great state. I love this state. I love this state. Great state of Arizona. Remember, Joe Biden used to say a lot, it's wonderful to be in, let's see, where the hell are we? We're in Iowa. No, you're Idaho. No, it's Iowa, isn't it? No, we've never done that. We've never even come close. We don't want to do that. That's one of those deals. You do that, it's over. I don't care how well you speak. You do that, it's over. And they did it plenty. But we're going to fire the radical Democrat senator that do nothing on borders, Mark Kelly, and we're going to elect an incredible person. Carrie Lake, I'll tell you, she is incredible. She's been with us from the beginning on the election fraud and everything else, and she's going to be your next governor. And we're going to end Nancy Pelosi, Crazy Nancy's crooked political career once and for all. Where is Carrie? Where is Carrie? Carrie, come up here, Carrie. Come up. Let's go.
I like how he does that. He doesn't just speak by himself. He always says, oh, come on. Hey, you should come up here. You should join us. Where are you? Where are you? Come here. You got to say something.
Inclusion is real, always.
Right.
Come on.
Well, it really shows how close he gets with these people. Like, I'm sure he goes to dinners and stuff with them.
Oh, right. He joins into everything or whatever. I mean, it's interesting. You can see he actually does have, teleprompters on of them.
Oh, huh.
But
I wonder if
as far as I believe at some point he actually talks about the teleprompter.
Get out and vote. make sure it's not a rigged vote, please. Come, please say.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Is this the greatest president we've ever known? Arizona loves you. And I predict at the end of 2028, when you leave office, second term, the whole country's going to love you. They're going to figure it out. They're just afraid of him because he's bringing back the principles that this country was founded upon. And if our founding fathers were here today, they would be Trump Republicans. I can see it right now, Mr. President. George Washington crossing the Delaware with a Make America Great flag at the back of the boat. And Teddy Roosevelt would have his Make America Great cowboy hat. We love you. We're so thankful that you're here in Arizona.
Somebody's gonna actually take that and actually make those things happen.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And
there
when
are
I'm
huge
elected, we will finish your bid.
with Trump flags and American cross lakes and stuff all over the place.
Right? I mean, and it's only 2022, so I mean, as 2022 progresses and things start ramping up for midterm, it's going to be amazing how many people are going to be out there, going to be carrying around MAGA flags and.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Big, beautiful wall.
I need to step away for a moment.
Okay.
Thank you, Carrie. Great. So what a job she's done as a politician. For 22 years, she was your anchor. She was your highest rated anchor, by the way, and people loved her, and she said she just couldn't stand watching it anymore. And thank you very much, Carrie. Great job. So we all knew that Joe Biden would be not so good, but few could have imagined that he would be such a disaster for this country, what they've done. Inflation is the worst it's been in 40 years. Gas prices are up 50%. The grocery shelves, the department store shelves, they're empty. You had an excuse not to buy Christmas gifts. You say to your loved one, darling, I'm sorry, I love you very much, but I just can't. There's no merchandise in Tiffany. I wanted to buy the most beautiful ring, but they don't have any rings anymore. Nobody has anything. We never even heard the term supply chain. If you talk, supply chain is not something that we even talked about, and that's what happened. And it's a very sad thing. The streets of the Democrat-run cities are drenched in blood with record-high murders and drug deals and human trafficking. There are 4 times more COVID cases. Remember, I'm going to get rid of COVID. I'm going to get rid of COVID.
Oh, Susan, we're not, debating about COVID or anything like that. We're not, nothing like that. Anybody that's out there that is listening to this should actually go see their doctor and do what's best for them.
4 times more cases than ever before. Today, the hospital set a record, brand new record. Our beautiful, strong southern border from 1 year ago, it was all set, it was all finished, it was beautiful. We had the best numbers we've ever had at the southern border, and that includes drugs coming into our country. We cut it down to a number that nobody thought was possible. And now it's up 7 times more than it was a year ago. Think of it, 7 times more. Our border's been abolished and illegal aliens are pouring into our country by the millions and millions and millions, and we don't even know where the hell they're coming from. We know nothing about it, but you're going to pay a big price. Biden has utterly humiliated our nation on the world stage. Putin is not only threatening Ukraine. I don't know if you've been reading about this, but now he's threatening to go into Cuba and Venezuela. That's a lack of respect, and we never had that problem, did we? There was no problem with Putin and Ukraine. There was no problem with President Xi in Taiwan. China, Russia, and Iran are engaging in aggression and provocations they never would have dared do just 1 year ago. They would never have done any of this. They're toying with us. They're toying with us. That's exactly what's happening. And our woke military leaders, these are not people that are respected by Russia and China and North Korea, Kim Jong-un. He's starting to shoot missiles again. Do you notice? He's starting to shoot the missiles. And look at all the press back there. And by the way, more importantly, forget them. Look at the people as far as the eye can see. Look at the people. As far as the eye, forget the cars. Look at the people way back, and I mean like football fields back. And you know what? I would ask the press to turn your cameras around and show the kind of crowd that we have, because nobody's ever had a movement like this. Nobody's ever had spirit like this or a crowd like this. But see, they don't turn the cameras. They don't want to turn the cameras. They don't want to turn the cameras. And frankly, they moved the cameras into a bad location for us. They should have been put way back. They have magnifying lenses. They have lenses that could have handled it.
I'm back.
But take a look behind you, press. Take a look, because when they
Look at the size of that crowd. It is massive. It is just a huge crowd.
show the kind of numbers that are represented tonight, some of the government people said it's the single biggest crowd they've seen yet. And they're not just talking about Arizona.
Yeah. Did he say how many people?
I didn't catch
And
the
Right
number.
Side has done a great job. Thank you, Right Side.
There's
wherever the
something
hell you
about
are.
25
They've done a very
miles
good
worth
job.
of cars that were coming here.
No, but when you think, I mean, it's so sad, because I say, do me a favor, do us all a favor, show people what's really happening, turn your cameras around, and you could look 100 yards behind the cameras, and it's a sea of people. In fact, the press is blocking the people out, and that's a shame. What a waste. What a waste. Very dishonest people. Now we have...
They are. They're hugely dishonest.
Right?
Purposeful.
Right, because then they have footage of when they were putting the chairs down, so they're just going to use that, and they're going to be like, see, there was nobody there. Like, no.
So now we have the inflation crisis. We had no inflation.
That's half
Very,
the
very
reason
low.
why I wanted to do this
We
tonight.
have the Afghanistan crisis,
because,
the worst and most
thank you,
embarrassing
RSBN, for
moment
doing
in
your
the
thing.
history of
They
the
actually
United
do a wonderful
States.
job.
The most embarrassing
They cover the whole
moment.
crowd.
We have the economy crisis. We have and this is really the woke military leadership crisis. When President Xi of China looks and sees what happened in Afghanistan, they don't have fear of us anymore. They don't have respect for us anymore. And you know what? They've taken some of the brand new beautiful equipment that was
Having
given
some
like
technical issues.
when we
Step away again,
surrendered over there. That was a surrender.
That's fine.
And there's another one the press never talks about. Do you hear them ever talking about what happened? Not only the 13 soldiers, but the 28 great soldiers that were absolutely so badly wounded with legs and arms, and 250 people, and $85 billion worth of equipment. 85 billion. Does anybody know what that represents? I've rebuilt the entire military. $85 billion worth of equipment was handed over to the Taliban. And we had a deal with the Taliban. 18 months, we didn't lose one soldier. I spoke to Abdul. Abdul was the leader. I said, Abdul, you do anything with respect to you kill anybody. We didn't lose one soldier. Think of it. Not one soldier in 18 months. And then we have this fake election, this horrible, disgraceful election. And by the way, a person that comes here, and we're all together, a person that comes here and has crowds that go further than any eye can see. There's nobody that can see the end of this crowd, and has cars that stretch out for 25 miles. That's not somebody that lost an election, and now because of it, our country is being destroyed.
Again, Susan, we're not disputing that Biden is our current president. We're just watching what Trump had to say and we're just, going to make some comments here and there.
Country's being destroyed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Uncle Sam. There's Uncle Sam, everybody. Uncle Sam, thank you. Now our country's being totally destroyed. There's been such destruction. It's not even believable. And you see it every day, practically every day. It's all promises. It's all things that they never had any intention of keeping. What they've done to energy, we were energy independent. What they've done to energy is so bad, and that's causing a big part of the inflation. The mandates are a disaster for this country. It's causing another big part of, when you look at what's happening with the economy, the mandates are just absolutely decimating our economy. And we did a good thing. We have almost 300 federal judges on the bench now during my administration, and 3 Supreme Court justices, and they're very good people, and they've been doing a good job, and they have some they did a good decision, a big decision on mandates, but I'll tell you what, they have some big decisions coming up, so we're lucky to have them on the bench. It's no wonder that the Joe Biden approval ratings have now crashed well into the 20s. That's a low one. And some people say they're actually much below that. How do you do that? The only one lower is Kamala. Kamala is lower. And the polls show...
Isn't that about the truth?
...that if an election were held today, we would trounce them so badly in a landslide in every way, just as we really did on November 3rd. We trounced them. We trounced them. If we had a...
So much so, it's ridiculous. And her ratings for a vice president are the lowest that you can actually find. I seriously was doing some looking around to see what the previous ratings on vice presidents were. The only other vice president that was as bad as she was is our current president.
An honest press, that election would have been much different. On top of all of that, 2 days ago, the Supreme Court rightly declared that Joe Biden's very sinister and malicious, and I don't know what they're doing. They're hurting us so badly, but getting out, well, they might be evil. Yeah, they might be. They're either evil or they're incompetent. But they declared the mandates largely unconstitutional.
The two of you.
And by the way, we put those justices there for a reason. And I will say this, the court system and the court decisions that are being made and will be made, it's going to be an incredible victory, in my opinion, for common sense. It's a victory for American freedom. We have to have this victory. If we don't have this victory, if we don't have the right decisions, but we have great people. You know, we talk about the 3 justices, but when you get almost 300 judges, federal judges, it's, I think you're seeing things a lot differently right now, a lot differently. What Biden did and the radical Democrats are doing with their courts, if you take a look at what they've done with the COVID, I call it the China virus. Is that okay if I call it the China virus?
Well, technically he can call it that, but we won't call it that. We won't call it anything because we're not doctors. We're not going to tell you what to call it. We're not going to make your decisions for you. You should actually go see your doctor and see what's best for you.
It's a tyrannical agenda. It's a criminal agenda, what they're doing. They're handling it so badly. And, you know, the H1N1, remember Joe used to call it the N1H1. I said, no. But the H1N1 was handled very, very badly. Smaller scale, much smaller scale.
Seems as there's a couple people out there that are actually watching this other than myself. If you're out there and you want to actually make some comments, go ahead and make some comments. We'll hold a conversation with you while we're doing this.
Not the same kind of problem. And you know what he's done? I told Fauci as an example, no, I'm going to close it up to China. No, because he wanted it. If you remember, he said no masks, then he became a radical masker. But Fauci fought like hell to not close it to China. and then admitted that we saved tens of thousands of lives because I closed it in January very early. Then we closed it to Europe. But the problem is, I didn't listen to him, but Biden's made him the big person. He's like the king. Fauci's the king. But with these decisions they're making,
the lady that came on and spoke, what was her name? She's like kind of new to the scene as far as I understand it, but I could be very wrong about that.
This the lady that he had called up.
No, I don't think that was her. It was some lady that was talking about Fauci, and she said that she wanted to lock him down at a rally for her, and there were a lot of Trump supporters behind her, so I assume she's kind of on that leaning. And
Sure.
Man, it was just nuts to see it. It was really cool. Everyone behind her just bursted in arrest Fauci, lock him up.
That's funny.
It was startling, just like they're doing right now. It was just like that.
That's awesome.
I'll have to find that and see if I can throw that to you.
Sure.
They're wrecking and devastating people's lives, firing Americans from their jobs, forcing innocent children to grow up in masks, closing their schools, destroying education, crushing their development, demolishing their futures, locking people into their homes. What they've done over the last year, wreaking havoc on our economy, going mandate crazy and running neighborhoods. If you look at what's going on, they're just running roughshod all over this country, and they're truly hurting the.
It's at the beginning of the video, dropped in the shtick show setup. Her name is Carrie Lake.
Oh, okay. This is interesting that they actually scroll in the crowd like that. Look at how many people are actually.
Danny, this looks like a freaking rock concert.
Right. And that's what it is.
And it's like this every
people,
time.
I don't think they've taken away their liberties. What they're doing is incredible. They've taken away their dignity. They've taken away their liberties. And I say enough is enough, and we are not going to take it anymore.
Thank you, RSBN, for your work. This is awesome. I love how they actually have the whole crowd.
Great camera work. Is this a drone?
I don't know I think it's just a stand camera or whatever that's actually standing behind them or whatever.
This gives you such a great perspective.
Scroll back and forth.
Looks like he's in the middle
because
of a rodeo.
Because our country is going to hell. It's a disaster, and it all happened in such a short period of time. You know, they want to knock out the filibuster and get things approved, and it's hanging by a thread. It's hanging by a thread. This is the moment the American people must take their lives and future back. We have to do it. We have to be strong. We have to be strong. It's time for the radical Democrats to leave our families alone, leave our elderly alone, leave our children alone with their strong immune system. Leave those beautiful children with that powerful immune system.
Leave those kids alone.
They have a good one. You know, Barron had COVID. And by the time we checked them the second time, it was gone. It's called they have a strong system. And to be doing what we're doing with the kids, leave our businesses alone. Leave all of us the hell alone. Tell Joe Biden the Americans' health choices are none of his business. We can make our own choices. And it hasn't worked. You know, you take a look at New York, what a disaster that's been. You take a look at other states, what a disaster. California has been a total catastrophe. And they were locked down. They were locked down as close as you could be. By the way, how did Cuomo do as governor? Really wonderful job, right? What a wonderful job he did. That guy, I'd watch him every day on television and say, he's saying the wrong stuff. But it's a shame what happened to some of our great places. But I'm proud that I was the anti-mandate president, and we have great successes in Texas and Florida and, frankly, in almost all Republican states. Throughout the pandemic, I fiercely resisted mandates of any kind and always will. We have to. We have to. They've proven ineffective. So if you really believed in them at the beginning, and I guess we can understand that, but it didn't take long that you would say, no, we're not doing it anymore. My administration invested heavily in all of the above strategies, including therapeutics. You know, we have therapeutics that are so powerful and so good. Some people could call them cures. The fake news will go crazy when you say that. They don't like hearing that, but they are fantastic. The antibodies and antibody testing, and the testing is such a disaster. Remember they'd say, where's the test? We did an incredible job in testing, and we were really there as in an infancy. Nobody knew anything about it. We figured it out. There's no testing. There's no anything. You can't get anything, and the testing has been a disaster. They said now, can you imagine if you own a testing company and you go up, they said, no, I want $150 a test. And the government, number one, they'll just say whatever you want. They just won't do anything to get the test. These guys are making a fortune. Can you imagine? I want $1,000 a test. And Biden's people say, okay, you've got it. Please get it out fast. We're getting our asses kicked here. We gave Joe Biden every two.
He's so funny. I love it. It doesn't matter what you tell them. $1,000 a test, they'll do it.
Only could want, yet he still completely failed. The virus
People are
evolved.
really scared about that, man.
Oh,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely.
Like, they are willing to do that. They are willing to wait in lines longer than like 3 blocks long.
Right.
of cars
They're standing
all the way
3,
down the
4
road.
blocks long in the cold, suppressing their immune system.
They're putting
and they're
their
gonna
kids
go-
in
go
the
get it.
cold. These
What's that?
classrooms have their windows wide open.
Yeah,
Like-
right. Classrooms have their windows open. They're eating lunch outside. I mean,
It's just startling.
they think,
These people have-
we need to do this.
They've been manipulated in the highest order.
Right.
His strategy failed to evolve, and it just didn't evolve with the virus. He's in.
Again, it still looks like there's 4 people out there watching us. Anybody that wants to, throw a comment in, totally throw a comment in. We'll hold a conversation with you.
Capable of keeping up. They're incapable. They're incompetent, actually, aren't they, when you think about it? We're now on the 6th variant. I wonder which one next is coming down of the original virus. And it's by far the most transmissible, and thankfully it's also the least dangerous and the least deadly. And we have to get back our lives. We have to bring our country back. We have to bring our lives back. But instead of letting us resume, and that's what we want to do, our normal lives. Biden's trying to bully and intimidate people with his, see how angry he gets? You see? Anger!
Oh,
You've got to
yeah.
listen to me. Listen.
He's gotten in
Listen,
people's
where
faces
am I?
before.
Where am I?
He was
Where
talking
am
to
I?
some,
Where the hell
I
am
think
I?
some guy part of a
Where am
union,
I? Oh, I'm not supposed.
and he
I'm
just
sorry.
went off.
What's
I was
going on?
talking about what Trump was saying, that Biden anger thing. He has
Oh,
went
yeah.
off on a couple of people.
Right? I mean, like, seriously angry and pointing at him and yelling at him.
There are
he's
moments
the
where he
ultimate,
clearly slips.
dictator, and he is so sad and interesting all at the same time
Mhm.
on what they consider this man compared to what they call Biden. It's like you just don't understand. You're not paying attention. Go read a world history book.
Supposed to be doing this. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. What? Oh, veteran. Hello, veteran. Look at that. He's a handsome-looking veteran. We love our veterans, don't we? Wow. We love our veterans. That's very good. Well, we're going to be introducing some of them. Thank you.
All right,
Good-looking
yeah,
veteran
bring
you
up-
are. Boy, oh boy, I
How
thought
about
somebody
the
was
legal
like in
testing that's been
trouble
done
or
on-
something.
What's that?
Oh, I have something that we can bring up in like maybe let's see, today's Monday, huh?
Well,
So
yeah, technically
tomorrow's
it's
stream,
Monday now.
I got some stuff we can definitely bring up that'll be interesting about the VA hospital and testing on veterans.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much. But Biden's trying to bully and intimidate people with his ridiculous, unscientific mandates because he and his entire administration have absolutely no idea what the hell is happening. And Big Pharma is making a fortune. Democrats are putting corporate profits over the rights of the American people. These corrupt, power-hungry lunatics need to hear us loud and clear. We are done having our lives controlled by politicians and Washington bureaucrats.
Absolutely.
No doubt. These
With-
people have no pity for you in any sense of the word. They would rather you are out on the street.
Right, because then it would be even easier for them to control us.
They're trying to buy up property and start something new.
It's kind of scary.
It is.
I don't want I want my 2-year-old to actually go and be able to live live a life, similar to what I did or whatever as I was growing up in the 80s and 90s. And it's not gonna. It just seems like it's not gonna be that way.
I sure don't want to raise a kid in some war-torn America,
Right.
some crazy movie scenario.
It's like when I was growing up, as kids, we would go outside and would hang out with the other kids. And there's so many kids in the neighborhood that would hang out together and pick up baseball games, football games without an issue. And now you're looking at it, and these kids are afraid to even just go outside. It's like, well, go outside and go hang out with other people. Social issues are going to be a big, big problem come the next 10 years because of
There's going to be an
what's going on
awakening.
right
A lot of these people are going to be smacked in the face with their own logic that they've been shoving out for the past.
Right.
Jeez.
Listen to mainstream
the
media.
60s,
Right.
earlier even.
We're done with the mandates, including the mandates for frontline healthcare workers, which I think you're going to do that all. And I know Carrie's going to be involved. Oh, what an improvement. What an improvement she's going to be over your current governor. He's a disaster. Somebody said, oh, he wants to run for the Senate. They came to me. They came to me in Washington. They said, what do you think? I said, he's never going to get my endorsement, I can tell you that. Your governor is not good. Now, Carrie's the...
Say what?
I said
You're
I'm gonna
breaking
grab
up.
some agua.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
one. She's going to be fantastic. Not going to be too long. Time flies all of a sudden, Carrie. Not going to be too long. But Ducey has been a terrible, terrible representative of your state. And we're done taking lectures on science from a party that tells us that men are women, women are men, and the babies, this is a fact, the babies can be killed even after birth, right? After birth. They used to talk late term. Now they're talking about just go check out your governor of Virginia, your former governor of Virginia, and it's all just fine with them. Babies can be killed after birth. The radical Democrats want...
That's the scary one, or whatever. When they're like, oh, abortion should be able to occur up to a year or two into life, and it's like, well, that's no longer called abortion. That's called murder.
Oh, well, I think
turn the United...
What's that?
Oh, jeez. I was just gonna say, I think it's straight up all of it, man.
Well,
The whole shebang.
And I agree with you, but I'm still trying to appease Susan at the same time. So
Right.
as
Does she
as
not
far
like
as
people saying that? Well, You might not like it.
I'm
but
not positive. I'm not positive on that one. I mean, we're pushing it, I think, just by
Okay, I'll watch
watching
myself on.
Trump. So no, it's fine. And I just find it really interesting that you were able to lay down and do what you were doing to actually conceive the child. I understand that there's some certain scenarios or whatever that if the either the mom or the child or both are in harm or in danger, that you should be able to go to the privacy of your own doctor and have the conversation about what to expect and what to happen, what's best for everybody involved. If there's no danger in any of it, and it wasn't a forced um, thing, it shouldn't be. That shouldn't be a thing at all.
I agree.
States into
Just
a
that somebody
communist
wants a
country.
kid somewhere.
If you remember,
Right, right. There's such thing as adoption. There's other people that are in this world that wish they could have children,
Have kids.
um,
Like they would kill to have a
miscarried
kid,
having children.
and they can't.
Right, just want to
And it's
raise
just the saddest
something.
shit.
To like, I wanted to be mine. I wanted to raise it to be a stand-up human being, and they're unable to because of whatever circumstances that disallow them to do so.
Somebody will look
Let's see.
after those.
remember
kids.
during the campaign, I said
No.
it
Right.
was something that was going to happen if they get elected, which they didn't, but that's okay. By the way, we did have tremendous success. You ever hear some of the little things where they analyze elections? If you win Ohio and Florida, you always win. We won Ohio and Florida. But if you win Ohio and Florida and Iowa, and we won big, all of them, then 100%. If you win a certain number of states having to do with legislatures and state, we won all of them, every one of them. There's like 15 of them, different little tests, and we won them all. The only thing we didn't win was the election, But I'll tell
The one that I'm very interested in is because of the way the House is actually set up is by population in each state, and the droves of people that are moving from one state to another, where those where they're going to actually end up changing people. Certain people will be losing their seats because there's not a population for them to actually be in the seat. And there's going to be other ones where they're going to be like, oh, wait a minute, we need another one, in Texas, or we need another one in Florida. And there's so many people that have moved from California to Texas or Florida. It's ridiculous. Moving out of New York to go to, better places or whatever. Like I said, it's all based on population. It'd be very
They're the
interested
ones
to
that
see.
voted for them to become a shithole. Like they did that, and then they're
Well, I know-
planning to do it.
Right. I get that. And that's why there's memes out there that are, telling these people, don't bring your ideas with you. You leave them where you left them or whatever for the reason that you left. Because all you're going to do is you're just going to make it worse everywhere else. So, I mean, we can see what happens or whatever here. It's going to happen. It's going to come really quick. I mean, we're already 17 days into the new year. It's it seems like it was just the other day that we were actually talking about 2021 and in a whole. It's amazing that it's moved. We're already 3 weeks into it. It's amazing. So fast.
Yeah.
Everything's going to happen super quick.
Time flies.
tell you what, if you look at 10 o'clock in the evening on election night, you look at Pennsylvania, you look at all of these different states, and we won those elections. We won them big. And you know what it is? We can't let them get away with it. We just can't. We can't let them get away with it. And I think it's one of the reasons that Carrie, because I watched her in the stump the other day, and I think it's one of the reasons she's doing so well. But I said if they get elected, our country would become a large-scale version of Venezuela, remember? And I didn't really, I said it, and I meant it a little bit. Guess what? It's true. We're becoming a large-scale version of Venezuela, which was a very successful country 20 years ago, and now they have no food. They have no water. Everybody's dying. It's being run by a horrible group of killers. And we have a horrible group. People ask me often, President, could I ask you a question? What was the toughest country? And they're so interested. We've made people very interested in politics, right? Very, very interested. What was the toughest country to deal with? Was it Russia? Sir, could it be China or perhaps North Korea? Was it Iran? I said, no, the toughest country to deal with was the United States of America. We have some crazy people where they create the Russia hoax and all created, all fabricated. And actually the toughest country to deal with is not China or Russia, it's the United States. It's a disgrace. And you notice we don't talk about greatness anymore. We talk about the environment. We talk about COVID, the China virus. We talk about race. We talk about all this. We never talk about greatness anymore. Other countries are talking about their military and their power and their this and their that. We don't talk about greatness anymore as a country. You turn on the news and watch these fakers. They're fakers. You turn on the fake news at night and you watch what they talk about. It's all things that it's just not possible. And a country has to be thinking to the future. It has to be thinking about greatness, and we don't even think about it anymore. We don't think about it, and it's very sad. And we are going to change that around, and even in America, we're witnessing cruelties that can be scarcely believed. They can't be believed. The left is now rationing life-saving therapeutics based on race, discriminating against and denigrating white people to determine who lives and who dies. If you're white, you don't get the vaccine, or if you're white, you don't get therapeutics. It's unbelievable to think this. And nobody wants this. Black people don't want it. White people don't want it. Nobody wants it. It's not even believable. You saw this a week ago where it came out. Nobody can even believe it. They don't even talk about it, and they don't want to talk about it because they know it doesn't work very well for them. But the Wall Street Journal described the practice race-based preferential COVID treatment. So that's what it is.
What's going on? You kind of roboted there. No? Okay.
You get it based on race. In fact, in New York State, if you're white, you have to go to the back of the line to get medical help. Think of it. If you're white, you go right to the back of the line. This race-based medicine is not only anti-American, it's government tyranny in the truest sense of the word. The Supreme Court should intervene, shut down this flagrant civil rights violation immediately. Somebody has to get it to the court immediately. By now, it should be clear to everyone that today's radical Democrat Party is driven by a mean and vicious spirit of left-wing fascism. This is no longer just socialism. And when Biden got elected, he didn't get elected on what they're doing now to destroy. There was no mandate. Number one, they lost. But even if they didn't, the margin was so tiny, it was so thin. It was so thin. They don't have the right to change our country and everything that we stand for. They don't have the right to do that. There's no better example than their ceaseless, relentless, unending campaign of hoaxes and witch hunts. I've gone through so many witch hunts now. I'm a professional witch hunter, beater. Oh, think of it. And then it turns out to be fake. After 4 years of Russia, 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 Ukraine, 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 the impeachment hoax number one, impeachment hoax number two, The slandering of Justice Kavanaugh, nobody ever went through anything like he went through. And the harassment of my family, which is a wonderful family of people that are great people. They love our country. And it's happening in New York. They're all taking their orders from the Democrats in Washington, but it's happening in New York and beyond. Now the radical Democrats have yet another witch hunt, no different than Russia, Russia, Russia. The Unselect Committee of Political Hacks. They're Democratic hacks, and they're vicious. And every one of them voted to impeach me, every one of them. And then you have Liz Cheney, who's now polling at 16%. And Adam Kinzinger, he's another beautiful, he's a crier. He cries every time you talk to him. Who, by the way, just dropped out of the race because he didn't have the courage to run it. And we just lost Katko, too. He's gone now, too. They're falling fast and furious. The ones that voted to impeach, we're getting rid of them fast. Nancy Pelosi has turned the U.S. House of Representatives into a Stalinist show trial. That's what it is. They just get the Democrats to stick together and just vote, and people get impeached. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace to our country what's happening. And it takes the meaning out of the word. The Unselect Committee is out of control, secretly and illegally collecting many months' worth of phone records that you don't even know about. This is like a communist country. Text messages, emails, location data.
It does feel like a communist country. Being from Minnesota and understanding how certain things just seem to not want to change. Seriously, I've called this state of Minnesota the communist state of Minnesota for the longest time because it's pretty much what it is. It's really disturbing. And it seems like the rest of the country is going to go that way if, these Democrats get their way.
I'm optimistic about it. I feel like we could have
Sorry, bud, you really broke up on that.
Countless people without notifying them, giving them a chance to defend their rights in court. They have no right. And by the way, the people that go before the Unselect Committee, they called me and they said, I've never been treated so horribly in my life. Numerous people have called me. I said, what was it like with these horrible people? They said, it was really bad. I have never been treated that way in my life. And all they want to do, most of them, I can tell you, they just want to do a good job, but it's a shame. Then they're leaking all sorts of information to partners in the media. That's what they are. They're partners. Look at all those people.
You want to test yourself? Make sure we can hear you.
People up there, they came to your great state. They came to your great state to say that nobody showed up for the rally. Nobody showed up.
My ass.
Bunch of phony people, just a very corrupt. The only way you can stop this is if we had an honest media where they would report the truth, and then it would all end. But the media, for whatever reason.
Right. And that's pretty much why we watch RSBN, is because we know better. We know that if you actually look at something other than mainstream or whatever, you'll actually see that there's a very large crowd, not just the people that are sitting straight behind them. We've seen the crowd. They showed us the crowd.
You know what I think?
For whatever reason.
I think it's that they're in their bubble. They're in their bubble, and all of a sudden they hear something outside of that bubble that is just the tip of the crazy, and they think that's way too insane to be true, and they hop right back in that bubble before it has a chance to get popped. But little do they
Mhm.
know, not only is that true, but there's a whole iceberg under that water that they don't know about.
Right? They're just seeing the tip of it.
And they don't
It's
even
amazing.
believe that.
Right. Right. They don't believe it. They're like, no, that's not true. Let's go watch. Well, they're not even watching CNN.
Yeah,
so-
they can't say that anymore. They ain't watching that shit. Nobody's watching that. They'd rather
it's just
hop on
amazing.
something
So
like
it's
this.
like, what are they paying attention to if they still, believe it? This isn't what it is. It's just
I think it's more online things. Like I think it's more social media personalities and celebrities. That's who people follow. That's who people listen to.
right. Right. They're like, oh, my favorite actor told me that I need to think this way.
Yep.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Let's see what else he has to say.
The media is a part of it, and the big tech and the whole group of them. But we're going to beat them anyway, because I really believe we have many more people. You can't be a 50-50 partner when you don't have voter ID. They're against voter ID. They want to defund the police. They want to take away your Second Amendment. They want to raise your taxes. All of these things. You're not a 50-50 partner. They cheat on elections. You're not a 50-50 partner. When you look at numbers in California coming in, like in the presidential, I go out, you're told you can't win
like that he doesn't
California.
have
Think
to
of it
say
as a
allegedly.
Republican.
Say what?
I said I like that he doesn't have to say allegedly.
Right. We do. We're not disputing that Joe Biden's our president either.
Nope. I didn't say that.
Joe Biden is our president.
They say you can't win New York, you can't win California, you can't win Illinois. So 3 states, big ones, the biggest, 3 states are gone. So you had to do like we did 5 years ago. We ran the East Coast, and we did things that people thought were not possible. Then we did it again, and we did it even more beautifully. And that's what happens. We have more people than they do, but they know politics and they know cheating. And the Republicans, I sometimes say, well, would the Republicans ever do what they did? Sir, that would be good. We're proud Americans, They won't do it. Because I say, if it's good for them, why aren't the Republicans doing the same kind of thing with the ballots? The ballots. They use COVID as another method of cheating. But why aren't the Republicans? Sir, we're proud American citizens. We'd never vote 10 times, et cetera, et cetera. But January 6th has become the Democrat Party's excuse to justify an unprecedented assault on American civil rights and liberties, appalling persecution of political prisoners. What's happening to those people in those jails? What's happening to those people? And why aren't they doing it to Antifa and to
Ray Epps?
Black Lives Matter, and to many other left-leaning, to put it mildly, groups. But the blatant abuse of power to harass their political opponents is disgraceful. It's never happened to this extent. What they're doing to people, it's never happened to this extent. We had people trying to burn down our country, including federal buildings and courthouses in Washington, D.C., and the church right opposite the White House, and the White House itself. They stopped them. Secret Service does a great job, but they stopped them. And nothing happens to these people. We must protect our nation from these monsters that are using law enforcement for political retribution at the local, state, and federal level. And that's what's happening. Locally, you think you get out with, you think everything's fine, federal is good, and then all of a sudden, these horrible, corrupt people hit you on a local basis. Again, working with the federal government, there's never been a time so dangerous as the time in which we are living right now. Keep our prosecutors out of politics, because this could work very much in the other direction also, and all it takes is a few more votes, and it'll work in the other direction, and that would be very, very sad. And in fact, if you don't mind, we have a little video we're going to show you. Let's just put on that video about New York.
Will you sue him for us? Oh, we're gonna definitely sue him. We're gonna be a real pain in the ass. I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president. We need to focus on Donald Trump. We need to follow his money. What is fueling my soul right now is Trump. This illegitimate president. I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, and then going home.
We have numerous like that. They got elected based on, they don't know anything about me. I don't even know who the hell she is. I never heard of her before. And they sue us on the basis of they run an election and they are vicious, and it's a very dangerous thing for our country, I can tell you that. And it can be reversed, and it might be reversed, and it shouldn't be reversed. It should never happen. The radical Democrat Party has spent years putting American lives in jeopardy through its extreme left-wing campaign to release dangerous criminals from jail, abolish cash bail. How about that? How's that working out? And stop charging a wide range of crime. They didn't go after left-wing anarchists and violent criminals, including all of the people that we just mentioned. They never went after them. They just wouldn't do it. They went after police stations. They went after police. Nothing happened to them. I did a hell of a job. I'll tell you what, we passed legislation. Remember, they were knocking down statues.
Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and the left really did a number in 2020 and destroyed a lot. Millions and millions of dollars worth of buildings and whatever materials, that, each business was selling, from liquor stores to police stations, whatever, Targets. And they're still doing it. They're still rampaging, doing what they want to do, take what they want to take. They're actually gone to the extent where they're actually, like they're living in the wild, wild west and robbing trains.
I was hearing somebody talk about that, and I remember him saying it's absolutely true that people have such a short memory span for this kind of stuff, right? It's like, oh, that was a tragedy, on to the next one. And then they don't remember the fear. Like, people were scared that it was going to be them next. And the whole country bought guns. So much so that it's really hard to get ammo right now. They're still buying them.
Right?
And monuments all over the country.
Looks
and
like Grimm's sitting in chat. He says executive doesn't pass legislation. We understand that the executive party doesn't pass legislation. It's up to the House and Senate to actually take care of that. The legislative branch. Then he says, and what he did concerning legislation went against his party. We all have our own opinions and we can think what we want to think. We're not telling you that you have to think the way we do. No, and I understand what you're saying. He's just talking about Trump, what Trump said. No, I get that. And, he's a president, so or an ex-president or whatever. So he's got it in his head what certain things are, and I understand that. He's just another person or whatever, and he doesn't always get everything correct. But the guy that's currently there has gotten so much more incorrect, and I just really dislike that guy as well. This guy, I'd rather be dealing with this guy again for what we're actually dealing with right now. But
if you get caught doing that, you go to jail for 10 years and there's no negotiating. And amazingly, it stopped. It stopped very quickly. And then I did something. I had to make a decision. Do we let the Democrats handle their cities and states, or do I go in with the military and do a job? And I left military, screaming the military, and I left it to the Democrats. And frankly, at least now we know what not to do, because they have done so badly. These Democrat-run cities, They are crime-ridden like we've never seen in the history of our country before. So now what we do is, if there's a next time, we're going to do it differently. We had to do it this way the first time. We did the absolute right thing, but it showed what happened. You look at Chicago, you look at New York, the murder rates are at a level that nobody can believe. Chicago, I mean, they have a holiday, some July 4th and other holidays, and 83 people shot, 7 dead. I just told you that in Afghanistan, we went 18 months without one American soldier being shot or killed. And in Chicago, it's happening every day. Yet when it comes to January 6th defendants,
Grimsbar seems to have an issue with Trump. It's totally fine.
What's he saying
I'm
now?
not, I'm not going to debate you on it. That's not what it's about. This is just I wanted to hear what Trump actually had to say, and we're just kind of fair using it, and we're, you know, throwing out our opinions. You totally have the right to your opinion.
most of whom are charged with nonviolent offenses, partisan Democrats have celebrated their indefinite detention without trial. These people are living in hell. These people are living in hell. Let them fight. Let them see their lawyers. Let them go out. They are being treated. They're being hounded like you hound the worst animal. What's going on is horrible in Washington. And also the jails are filthy, disgusting, dirty, and they're even being cited by the courts for being so horrible. They're brutal lockdowns. They're brutal. You take
Grimsbar says we need to return to federalism. Trump is not what we need. And I'm not debating that with you. I'm totally, not even saying that, Trump needs to be the president. I just wanted to watch the footage of what he actually said and, fair use it and actually talk about it and, have these conversations. As far as returning
I'd like
to
to have a
federalism,
conversation
I would totally
sometime
be with you.
and hash out the
No,
Trump dealings.
absolutely.
I'd like
That's
to
why I
see
said
where
we're
he's
not
coming from
debating
on
it. We're not debating it. We're actually, here to actually talk about it and see what's best. I just wanted to hear what this guy had to say. We've heard what Biden's had to say, and obviously he's not the right answer either.
You can put those 2 cents in at
And that's what I'm saying. Put in your 2 cents. Come
buymeacoffee.com/Koolfrogg.
in, and if there's a link, you can come in here, and we'll totally listen to whatever you have to say. We're not debating that. I'm not saying that this guy is totally the best answer for anything at all. And the research that I've done, and I haven't actually done enough of it or whatever, I'm hoping to get enough of it done within the next few years before 2024 elections come around to actually be able to be a little bit more informed on what we need to actually do. I don't know if this guy's really the right answer. I mean, he was actually there for 4 years. His economy was better than what it is right now. But, hopefully, things can change and they can actually, there's a long road going into 2024 for this guy. And he's going to have to go through against other quote unquote Republicans. He's going to have to go in against other, Democrats after, if he even makes it. Oh, there he is. Hey, Grim, how you doing, bud?
What to do?
No, we're just watching the Trump rally just because I was interested in watching it. We're here on
Yeah. Fair
special.
enough.
We're on a special stream. This is a Sunday night. Normally we don't do stuff on Sundays. Normally it's just Tuesday through Saturday at midnight or whatever. And I'm like, well, I haven't watched this. I want to watch it, and we're gonna fair use it. So we're gonna talk over it and whatever. It seems as though I've got a couple more viewers than I normally get on even a nightly stream. So, did you have something that you'd like to add some 2 cents to it?
Oh yeah, it's just he was talking about he's not gonna listen to the Democrats, right? So he's basically it's bad because it's a deviation from federalism and from the republic, right? It's more authoritarian BS, and the people don't realize it. Um, what they're doing, and what Trump doesn't realize that he's doing, is he's trying to replace one kind of authoritarianism with another kind of authoritarianism. And what I mean by that is,
I see your
the
point.
yeah, and so it's not actually good at all, because there's more impact that can be held at the local level for the people who are there when it comes to accountability for elections and this and that, right?
Hmm.
Um, than it would if the federal government just came in and like shut stuff down, martial law, crap like that. Like all you're gonna do is
So
cause more
you're
problems.
for martial law?
No,
Okay,
no,
I was gonna say what.
no. Um, Absolutely not. And so, right, that's the thing is the reason why these groups were able to be violent and do things like that is because how to put it, the areas in which that violence is taking place is authoritarian, in that it has tied the hands of the people to defend themselves, right? So then these autocrats, bureaucrats get in there and use mob violence and allow it to continue, so long as they can get their 7 keys for the election, for a swing election. Otherwise, they start shutting it down, which you've seen, right? So
Mm.
that's all it is. It's just a game, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, because a president does not have that kind of authority, and it's actually quite ridiculous, because the Constitution states that you cannot use the military on the citizenry of the United States. So he's in direct violation of the Constitution, and that's a fucking problem for me.
Sure.
And that's what he's touting for, and that's what the crowd's cheering for. And that's a problem, right? Because now what you're dealing with is a bunch of people who are pissed off at the situation, and what are they doing? They're lining up with a smile on their face to take a shit on the Constitution. All because some dirty games were played, right? They need to hold their local officials accountable. That's what they need to do. They need to change their local laws.
Oh
That's it.
yeah, absolutely. People need to
He's
actually pay
called out
attention
these
to their
people
own,
before.
local government as opposed to paying attention just to the national government. It's amazing how many people don't actually pay attention to who their sheriff is or who their district attorneys are, or any of that,
Mm-hmm.
who their state
Mm-hmm.
reps are. If you're not paying attention to who your reps and who your attorneys and who your judges are, you're not gonna. It's gonna get worse because there are people that are paying attention to that, and that may possibly be on the other side of the realm than what people actually are thinking. And
Yeah, and
you really
tax
should know who your rep is. If you don't know who your rep is,
absolutely.
you should actually look that up.
If you
And
don't know who your reps have been for the past, I don't know, I would say at least the past 2 election cycles, at
right,
least know their names, let
right.
alone their policies.
And my rep
Like,
has actually changed several times in the last few years from my hometown to moving up closer into the cities. And it's changed from, one side to the other, whatever. And I'm just like, now I'm dealing with total different reps and I'm dealing with, different issues and different things that are going on in the county or whatever. And it's kind of strange when you think about it, what the, kind of policies they're actually pushing in, each county or each representative line or whatever. 'Cause it's amazing what the lines are. The lines aren't even the same as what the county is. They're larger areas
yeah, it's
because they're based on
gerrymandered.
population, right? Gerrymandered and stuff, right? They're based on population, and
Yeah, it
so
should be,
it's like
honestly, I think it should be each
if
county.
me like me living just southeast of the cities or whatever, a lot of people that had lived in the cities in the last few years had actually moved out of the cities and moved into the suburbs below the cities. They're still working in the cities, so they're actually traveling more, but their population's actually shifted So it's like, rep lines need to be changed to actually, accommodate for that population shift. And it's really kind of, it's really something you really do have to pay attention to your local government. People don't do that. So I'm totally with you on, certain things just aren't the way that they need to be. So,
Yeah, absolutely,
we
absolutely.
totally,
I didn't
that's why
realize
we're
that
like,
too.
come on in here, talk to us, and
Yeah,
we can actually talk about this as opposed to me trying to read your text and trying to decipher what you're actually trying to say. Because
yeah, fair
It's
enough.
not
sometimes
hard to
text
look
gets
this
taken
stuff up either, people.
right.
I'm in it
Sometimes
right
text gets
now.
taken wrong. I'm sorry, Jimmy. Go ahead.
I was just saying it's not hard to look this stuff up either. I'm in it
No,
right
it's
now.
not.
I'm looking through the Minnesota House of Representatives.
Look up your state representative as opposed to the House of Representatives. The state representatives, there's um, the ones that are actually take care of your local government, the ones that are actually going to the state capital as opposed to the, um, you know, United States Congress or whatever. Um, there's so many that are in just your state alone that don't go to the federal. You know,
Holy crap!
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You
No,
look at
no,
the
no.
state.
They say that they only make $46,500 a year.
Yeah, right. They're only supposed to make that much. That's what their wage is, but they're allowed to actually go out and fundraise to do certain things, and it's amazing what some of these representatives actually do make after they do the fundraising that they do. And it's that's why you have so many millionaire representatives out there, or whatever. You're like, well, wait a minute, how'd you become a millionaire for $47,000 a year? It doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Raising money for charity. So it's a lucrative business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's move on a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry
There
about that.
is no, that's fine. There is still another 50 some odd minutes to go through here. So
Oh, yeah. I can't
Look at
stay
what
that
they've
long.
got. The showers are disgusting. The
and
bathrooms
that's
are
dependent on if
horrible.
you stop and talk.
And people are being forced to live like that. Let them use their lawyers. Let them go out and defend themselves. And if we think they're innocent, we should help them defend themselves.
Or what you could do is,
Remember when the Democrats went out and
Or what you could do is
get
I
rid
missed
of
it
the
last
private
time, but Frogman, it
private
looks like my
systems.
turtle is doing the thing again, where it's going like.
yeah, he's flipping back and forth.
They need to get rid of the privatized
Let me
prison
outta here!
system because that is a major problem. You want to know why it's shit? You want to know why there's cut corners and this and that? You want to know why it's in the absolute gutter and it's disgusting? It's because they don't. It's privatized one, so they're cutting a bunch of corners, right? To save bottom lines. They get paid by the number of people who are actually incarcerated, right? They lobby and for bills and things like that to get people incarcerated. They set up situations where, um, yeah, like if a prison takes in so many people, basically they get paid for every person that's there. And there were prisons that were getting in trouble because they were charging people money. I think this was here in Kentucky. They were charging people money to basically stay at, like, if you go to jail, you have to pay every day that you
Hmm.
are incarcerated, even though it's a punishment that you have no fucking control over. And Kentucky's Supreme Court said, hey, that's unconstitutional. You can't do that. And there were still a whole bunch of jails that were doing it. And this came out, I think, last week, and it was a major problem, right? So what you do is you scoop someone up, you put them in jail, right? And this private company charges them to stay there, and they get paid money when that person is in there, and they have that person perform labor to make them money while they're in there, and the person working there doesn't get paid minimum wage or gets compensated for their work done, and they're set up in a situation where um, they have no real skills that translate to the outside, and
Hmm.
they have a
No,
record
I
that
get some of
gets
that
them out of
because
a
if you
job.
actually
Like
went to
it
my
screws them
hometown or
over
whatever, it's
for the rest of their life.
$63 a day to sit in jail. It's
Yeah, get
amazing how
fucked.
much these jails will actually charge you to actually, after you get in trouble for doing something, They go and they put you in the jail, and they say, okay, well, now we need to charge you because we need to feed you, we need to do this, we need to do that.
But that's
Do
what
your
taxpayer
laundry.
money's for.
Exactly, that's what the taxpayers' money is already for. But they're actually charging the inmate as well. So it's just like, well, wait a minute. Well, how much money are you actually making? Where's this money actually
Not only
going?
are they charging the
Why can't
inmate,
you actually build a better jail or whatever? What's going on? Because these jails are old and decrepit.
well,
They've been
they're
around
also.
for a while.
You know who runs the jails? The majority of the people who run the jails. Like, if you're talking actual daily fucking upkeep,
The
and
sheriffs do.
no, no. Who do you think
Sheriff's
cleans? Who do
deputies
you
do.
think cooks? Who do you think does all the maintenance and shit?
Oh, it depends on what city you're in, what time, what's, depending on where you're at, because
Majority of it, it's the prisoners.
you
No, it
um,
is. It
I,
is.
I'm
Cut
just,
corners.
for
Majority
knowing
of them, the
stuff out of my
prisoners do that.
hometown or whatever, they actually have their stuff catered in off a restaurant.
Well,
There's a restaurant that they
I
actually go
suppose it
to, and
depends
they
on which
actually have their
state,
food
but
catered in. What's that?
yeah, I guess it depends on which state.
Right. It depends on the state, depends on the county. Everything's a little different depending on where you are.
Yeah, I don't think
But
people should
like
be
I said,
thrown
I
in
only
jail
know
if they
my
aren't.
hometown. I don't know this town that I'm actually currently in or whatever, and all their rules and regulations and what you get charged for actually sitting or whatever.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's totally different depending on where you go.
Yeah,
There was no trustees or whatever in hometown or whatever. It was just they seriously went to the local restaurant and they had the stuff catered in. It's like, what? How can you actually get away with doing that? You'd think that they would, what it just doesn't make sense when it comes down to it. It's amazing.
yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. It's crazy. The stuff that they do, and sorry, excuse me.
Bureaucratic money.
It's a major problem.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know where the majority of like your Walmart or your McDonald's uniforms and Burger King uniforms and stuff for these corporations, all that stuff, right? As far as clothing articles and things are made?
No. China?
Prisons.
Prisons.
Prisons. You can't get a Big Mac. Yeah, dude. Prisons. Right? That's the problem. Okay. When they go, they scoop you up, they throw you in jail, and they say, okay, well now that you're in here and we're forcing you to be here outside of your will, beyond your will, we're going to throw you in here and you must work. And if you don't work, we're going to torture you. We're going to throw you in a fucking hole in the ground with nobody around you. And we're going to sit here and commit psychological torture against you until you capitulate like a good little slave and do what the fuck we want. It's a problem. It's an absolute problem. And you wonder why people come out and hate the system and hate everything and everyone because they can't get a job. They can't do this. They can't do that.
We've done
And they've
manual
been
labor
tortured the
for
entire time.
punishment since the creation of punishment.
Right.
It's exactly. Prisons are punitive. They are not um they're not remedial, right?
Uh-huh.
They're not there's another word I'm looking for. It's not a corrections facility. It's not a
There's no like
correctional facility.
reintegration into society.
Yes.
That's why we have repeat offenders.
Psychological help, get people treated, do this and do that, right? That's what you're supposed to be doing. It's not like it's not supposed to be like, oh, you're going to go here and be punished. It's like, no, you're going to go here, you're going to serve time, yes, as punishment, but while you're there, you are going to get these psychological treatments. We're going to work with you, this, that, right? Deprogram, show, teach, right? These are the things that need to be happening. The fact that they aren't is a major, major problem.
Yeah, I
No,
agree with
definitely. Yeah, 100%. Well, these people,
Big problem.
this life is usually all they know, and then they get in the system, and it's like, yep, this is just as shitty as everyone described.
you. No,
Guess
yeah,
I'll go do
I had a
crime
good
where I'm
buddy that
actually
was
making
actually
money.
sitting in prison in the state of Minnesota or whatever for doing some stupid stuff or whatever, and he finally got out after like 3 years of sitting. He was not out anything longer than 2 weeks, and he got put back in
Oh
for
Lord.
doing the same exact stuff that he was in there in the first place. because he
Yep.
just didn't know any better to actually, try doing something better with his life.
Drugs
And-
are a disease. Drugs are a
right,
disease when it comes down to it. I mean, that's actually what it is.
right.
We don't
He
lock
was he
people
was
up
more
for drinking
comfortable
and they
sitting
become
than he was
AA,
going.
right? It's a disease.
Hmm.
It's a poisonous mindset.
Well, what I mean by it's a disease is that like it's a contractable disease, right? So, somebody decides to chase the dragon once and now they're hooked on chasing the dragon, it's like sticking your willy in a loose rod, and now you got the
You have
you
an
have the
itch that
hurt
won't
keeps
stop.
on giving for the rest of your life, right? Like that's
Hmm.
what basically happens. So it's a disease. It's just always following.
Yeah.
So you need treatments. It's just so backwards. The
And
system
Well,
was
there's a
when
huge
privatized
when
mental
it
back in
comes
the
health
down to
problem
actually
that
getting the
everyone
treatment
says
for
that.
certain things, you just can't just sit there and be like, "Oh, I need to go see a doctor and I need to take the doctor's advice." A lot of times, it's the own person that needs to actually think about it for a few seconds and actually, stop doing the stupid shit that they're doing, and use their brain and actually tell themselves that they need to stop doing that. I mean,
Well, that's kind of what I
I've
was
been
getting
there
at.
and
Well,
I've
you're a
done
lobster in
it.
water, man.
There's
I've
a
You're
been there.
huge
a frog in
mental
water.
health problem in these communities, and everyone says when it comes up, "Oh yeah, well, we really need to talk about that," and nobody freaking does anything about it. Like,
Right.
yeah, people like to ignore that. It's like, yeah, they do. You are right now by just brushing it off as a side conversation. Like, people need to talk about this more.
Hmm.
People need to implement things that really help people with these issues because it is a sickness.
You don't want to help them. That's the problem. Lobbyists
Why?
don't want. What do
Oh
you mean?
yeah, they
Why?
don't want to help you.
Because
They
yeah,
don't
if
care
if
about
if
you
you
because
help,
they're making bank.
hmm
Right. They make
hmm
more money by actually leaving you the way you were, as opposed to trying to help you and
Like the
yep,
Joker movie, they don't stop to
reform you
consider how
into
you
being a
might
better
feel
person.
ever. Not
yeah.
once.
If you look at the forced labor that's in prisons right now, there are more people under forced labor laws in America than any time throughout history.
Okay. Let's try moving
So,
on a little bit here because I don't
yep,
want to
yep,
be
yep.
here all night.
Kamala raising money for the people that were caught. But they didn't have a problem because so little happened. So it wasn't the same thing. These people are being persecuted. One defendant was allegedly viciously and savagely beaten, resulting in numerous broken bones in his face and a loss of sight permanently in one eye. And an out-of-control dope, a real dope. I watched this guy being interviewed. They wanted to protect him, so they wanted to keep him. He couldn't get on television fast enough. The guy who shot Ashley Babbitt for no reason. This guy couldn't get on television fast enough. He's so proud of himself. Let's see how he could do without the protections that he got. And by the way, if that happened the other way around, they'd be calling, let's bring back the electric chair. That's what they'd be calling for. He's a disgrace the way he shot Ashley.
Oh,
And after Nancy Pelosi and Adam Shifty Schiff, they go down to a shattering defeat. I hope now you gotta lose. You know, she wants to move to Florida. I don't want her in Florida. She wants to move. They ruined California, so let's move to Florida. Hopefully they're going to go down to a big, beautiful defeat in November. You have to get out. Your state is so important. You got to get out and vote. We'll immediately begin our own investigations into what happened, what really happened, because this is being totally whitewashed. If the Unselect Committee were serious about getting the facts about January 6th, it would focus on answering the following questions. Why did Nancy Pelosi and the Capitol Police reject the more than 10,000 National Guard troops or soldiers that I authorized to help control the enormous crowd that I knew was coming? And the reason I knew it, everybody that I knew was saying, I'm going on January 6th, everybody. And they never talk, by the way, they never talk about that crowd. They talk about the people that walked down to the Capitol. They don't talk about the size of that crowd. I believe it was the largest crowd I've ever spoken before. And they were there to protest the election. You were there, right? Am I right? I think it was the largest crowd I've ever, and the fake news never talks
Really bad
about it.
phrasing.
They never talk about it. Exactly how many
Really
of
bad
those
phrasing.
present at the Capitol complex in
What are you not liking?
Protest the election. That's a really bad way to phrase that.
Well, this is a guy that's not a politician.
Yeah, I
This
know.
is,
I understand that, but
Right.
you're putting your foot in a mine, stepping on a mine, or you could be on a roll and just let something slip. So I don't know which is which, so I don't like it. Anyway,
No, I hear you. I get your point.
January 6th, were FBI confidential informants, agents, or otherwise working directly or indirectly with an agency of the United States government. People want to hear this.
You're looking at like this guy over here and this guy over here.
say again. Oh, you
How
mean
about the one guy? Go in, go
The
in.
couple
oh,
guys
there's
behind him.
how many do you see? I see one,
This-
two,
this
three,
guy,
4, 5,
This guy.
6. I see
just
6.
just to you show for instance or whatever, right?
I see
Some
6.
of them are just like
How many glows you see? I see 6.
this guy up here,
Mm-hmm.
right? This guy and this guy for sure. I've been paying attention to them since the beginning or whatever. So I mean, yeah, they're, there's some plants in there.
They're
for
looking
sure,
around.
but
They're not. And don't forget the guy top middle,
yeah, this guy here. Yeah.
lower left, female.
Where are you looking?
Lower
I
left,
already
female.
said this guy.
Down
Yeah.
to the left.
Oh, this
Next
guy
row
down in here.
above him, the female with the glasses there.
The female. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Get in there, everybody. Eps. Get in there. Go, go.
I mean, a lot
go.
of them are
Nothing
actually looking at
happens to
this
him.
at the big
What
See,
screen.
they're
happens
not
with
cheering.
him?
They're not going on or
Nothing
anything. They're
happens.
just looking around, watching.
Did any of these
This guy has.
individuals
He's
play
clapped
any
his hands
role whatsoever
when
in
the crowd
improving
does.
or facilitating the events at the Capitol? That's what we want to know. And most importantly, why aren't they investigating November 3rd, a rigged and stolen
guy in the
election, without getting to the bottom of which we will never have a fair and free democracy? Why aren't they?
Just another one over in here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Also, the guy in
looking
the
at
suit.
that?
Which one?
Guy in the suit. I'd say probably about a third of them, actually.
And there's massive evidence that shows exactly what I'm talking about, and it's coming out rapidly, and it's come out.
This guy. This guy that's standing behind this one in the suit. Yeah.
Out and is coming very big in the great state of Arizona also. The American people deserve answers. The January 6th rally was a protest against a crooked election carried out by unhinged Democrats, big tech, and working with the fake news media, all working together to defeat Republicans and your favorite president, me.
Coolidge.
And it was done in
This guy right here, standing right behind him.
I love
Yeah,
what
dude,
he
it's just a
says here
giant
for
arc.
president.
It's a giant arc.
many cases without the
It's just a giant arc.
necessary
the guy in the
constitutional
front,
approval
right?
of state
It's just the arc of
legislatures.
people.
You had these
Go
things
around.
changed
Get to the middle.
by local politicians. In other words, how do we screw the Republicans? They didn't go back. The Constitution says you have to go back to the state legislatures, and many of them did, and they couldn't get the approval, and they did it anyway, which means it's unconstitutional. And
That I
many
agree
other
with.
problems. They did everything you could do. The real insurrection took
They should've
place
went-
on Election Day, November 3rd.
That's what it is. There's no
Never
changing it.
forget,
They just-
the reason the Democrats and their media allies conduct all of these hoaxes and witch hunts is not because they think the American people are with them. It's because they know that the American people are actually against them. And they have
The
to
American
cheat
people don't.
because
Oh,
with
can you
open
pause real quick?
borders, no second.
So there's a Supreme Court ruling, just so you guys know, that there's a Supreme Court ruling, and in that Supreme Court ruling, it ruled that the state executive branch was considered the state legislature when the federal government refers to the state government. So that's why the governors were able to certify stuff, right? So that's the big fucking disconnect that people are having, because any of the state governments, right, those three within a state, can basically certify it, because under that SCOTUS ruling. I don't agree with that ruling, but that's what it is right now. So until that doctrine gets changed, then it is what it is. So he can say what he wants about it should go back to the state legislatures, but as of right now, unless something goes to SCOTUS and they overrule that, then it's not going to happen.
Sure.
Amendment, a bad economy, highest ever inflation, sanctuary cities, a woke bunch of military leaders that don't know what the hell they're doing, an education system that's failed so badly and they don't want to go to the right system. They can't win without doing a lot of bad things. And that's why the radical Democrats are also currently waging an unprecedented attack on voting rights. You see that happening right now. Their scheme has always been to erase American votes with illegal votes, and now they are doing so openly. They want to get rid of that filibuster, and they want to change it. The legislation is not a voting rights bill. It's a voting fraud bill. That's what it is. Sounds so nice. Voting rights, we want a voting rights bill. It's not that. You could also call it the, quote, never let a Republican ever get elected again bill. That's what it really is. The only reason they would ever seek to institute nationwide ballot.
Say it again.
The Republicans were able to redraw the district lines, so he is completely incorrect. Anyway, sorry.
Harvesting
No, it's fine.
and unsecured drop boxes, as if they really wanted to flood the system with illegal and ineligible votes. This is the only reason. Why else would they want it? Lock boxes. I call them the unlocked boxes. A lot of things happen. A lot of big things are coming out about those boxes, and you're going to be seeing that. That's right, coming out of Georgia. That's true. The evidence of fraud is so overwhelming, starting right here in Arizona, where your Republican state senators had the courage, the great courage, to do a full forensic audit. And this was a really good audit of Maricopa County. And you had a thing called findings. Oh, and they harassed these auditors. You wouldn't believe it. These poor people. They come in to do an audit. Their lives have been destroyed. But they've harassed them. So they say I lost the state of Arizona by 10,000 votes, and yet the auditors flagged more than, well, listen to this. By the way, if I lost there, you don't have crowds like this. And again, you don't know what's going on back there. What's going on back there is further than the eye can see. That is serious. But the auditors flagged. So we lost, they say, by 10,000, and yet they flagged more than, listen to these numbers, 57,000 highly suspicious ballots for further investigation. 23,344 mail-in ballots were counted despite the person no longer living at that address. Little problem. 5,000 people appear to have voted in more than one count, not allowed to do that. And 284,000, remember, they say I lost by 10. 284,412 ballot images were, quote, corrupt or missing. Other than that, it was a wonderful election. Congratulations. And then you listen to these people say, oh, everything was wonderful. You listen to the fake news saying how it was so wonderful. The rhinos on the Maricopa County Board, they are horrible. The commission even admitted under questioning in Congress from your great Congressman, Andy Biggs. He's here someplace. That they had deleted. Listen, Andy went, they made their statement, you know, their typical statement. I was going to say a bad word, but I see some young, beautiful children up here. But they made, and I was also going to come in without the hat, but I said it's windy as hell here, and I don't want to screw up any visions of my wonderful hair.
The mane.
You don't want to screw up the mane. You gotta wear a hat.
It's windy.
I've seen what the
They
wind
said-
can do to my hair. It's crazy. I don't want anything to do with it. Okay.
It is windy if you actually cut when they had the cameras up or whatever and showing the whole crowd. The flags were just a weapon.
Oh, wow.
Said to her, sir, if you want to have a lot of hair over the place, don't wear your hat. I said, give me a hat, please. But Andy Biggs did a great job. He was in Congress, and they read this statement, which was nonsense, and then he asked them a couple of basic questions, and they looked like a bunch of real dumb, unpatriotic, crooked people. They had deleted, he asked them, why had they deleted much of the data which was under subpoena? That's not a bad question. They couldn't answer it. Why? Why? Why did you delete everything? Why did you delete so much? They couldn't answer the question. There can only be one reason. Your rhino Republican governor, Doug Ducey, and a group of other rhinos that you have, they did nothing to help our country or our state. And by the way, he's so terrible. And remember this. Immense evidence of fraud impacting tens and tens and tens of thousands of ballots has also been reported out of Pima County and other counties where we weren't even looking. They weren't even looking at Pima County, and they've got tens of thousands of votes. And then
Pima
you
County
hear
where?
there's nothing wrong with the election. And you know what? We still have it in other states.
Say it again.
Pima County where?
He's probably talking Arizona,
Oh, okay.
just because he's in Arizona.
Oh, fair
We're
enough. All
now
right.
anxiously awaiting for Attorney General Bronovich, and hopefully he's going to do his job. I think he's a good man. I think he's going to do his job. We'll find out. I think it's a very easy job to do because anybody with any comments, any common sense is going to look, and they're going to take a look, and they're going to say this was a total fraud. But the Attorney General is now looking, and hopefully he's going to do his job. All we want him to do is his job. Well, he's got to move quickly, I would say that. We've all been waiting a long time. I understand what you're saying, but to take appropriate action, along with the state legislature regarding what we call the big steal. It was a big, corrupt steal. And hopefully the Attorney General and your state legislatures will be smart and fair and decisive and let the world know what the hell happened in Arizona, because it's happening in other states right now, even at a level maybe beyond Arizona. Our elections have to be decided. We have to be decided by legal votes only. Legal votes only. And that's the only way we save our country and we save our democracy. More evidence is coming, and it's coming very, very fast. In Georgia, the Secretary of State is now really looking at an investigation that I think is going to be a bombshell. And supposedly it's on tape, it's on camera, and we'll see what happens. But they have illegal ballot harvesting at a level that nobody could even believe possible. So we're going to see what happens in Georgia, but it's far more than necessary to win the state of Georgia, just like this is far more than necessary to win the state of Arizona. And in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and other states, many things are likewise happening, and they're happening fast, and the people are very angry. And I'm talking about political people, politicians. They got duped, and now they're finding out what happened. The people have to be free to find the answers to a very corrupt election, and if not, they will never trust again, and our country will be absolutely decimated. Weak Republicans who fail to recognize election fraud and, frankly, open borders and all of the other things they are doing now to destroy our country, they're going to be losing elections at a level that nobody thought possible, because the people of our country understand, in many cases, much better than the politicians. The same people who have been lying about everything for 4 years claim 2020 was the most secure election in history. Give me a break. Give me a break. Those are bad people. I watch them on television. All you have to do is just look at the files. The numbers that are coming out are astronomical, despite the fact that they themselves spent years claiming our elections were so vulnerable. You know, a lot of the people that are talking about how honest they are people that throughout years have been saying how corrupt our elections are. But this one was the beauty, because this one used all of the mail-in phony votes and all of the things that happened to cheat. When Republicans get the chance, we must act immediately to pass voter ID, citizenship residency. We need confirmation of that. We have people coming in, we have no idea where the hell they come from. And take a look at California as an example. No more unmanned and unsecured drop boxes, and no more ballot harvesting, which is illegal. And they did it at levels that nobody can believe. We must return to the historical norm of voting in person on election day, unless you have a valid reason to vote absentee, like you're in the military or you're very sick.
He's completely wrong. He's an idiot on this point. Trump, you're an idiot. The delegates that go to vote, right? Because the people don't vote, the delegates vote. That's number one. And the way to choose who your delegates are and how they like to go vote, that is done at the state level. It says in the Constitution that the states shall determine the way to, or shall have the power to determine the way of deciding electors. So, or the delegates. So it's like, he's wrong. He's absolutely wrong. If there's a state that decides, you know what, we're going to let anybody and everybody anywhere vote, it doesn't matter. You can vote here. They can do that. Right? If you show up and you can vote, then you can vote. Right? They can do that. They can even set it up where the only people that can vote are non-citizens, if they really wanted to. Right? That power is reserved to the states. And people need to realize that every single state is basically its own country that has a mutual defense pact. And so he's calling for more federal power instead of returning power to the states. And that is another big issue. He just completely misunderstands the Constitution, completely misunderstands the structure of how this whole process works, and it's maddening. The power is left to the states on how to decide that. That is why in some states, felons can vote. In other states, if you have a felony, you cannot vote for the rest of your life. It's up to the states to decide who can and cannot vote, or better yet, how the elections are done. Because if a state really wanted to, what they could do is they could say, you know what, we will have each district and each county within that district gets one vote towards a delegate. So it'd basically be the majority of the counties determine the delegate, right? But you don't have that. But if they wanted to have it set up that way, you could. You could have a republic within a republic. He's just it's so asinine to me. It's mind-boggling. Sorry, I just had to get that off my chest. That would drive me
No,
nuts.
that absolutely. When you have a thought, you have to actually, spit it out and let
Yeah, it
people
was
know.
Yeah,
insightful.
yeah, dude. Yeah, it's
And
something that he fundamentally
I remember at one point
misunderstands.
in time actually being on probation for a felony and not being able to actually vote. And when I was no longer on paper and I was actually able to vote, they actually sent me a piece of paper and said, "Hey, by the way, your rights have now been returned to you. You can now vote." And I'm like, "Oh, sweet." I went and I voted because I'm
And
like, "Oh,
because it says the
I got it
legislature,
back." If I would have never had it taken away from me, I may have never actually voted because I didn't think about it. I never cared until somebody said, "Oh, hey, now you can vote again." I'm like, "Oh, I can. Awesome." And I started paying attention a little bit more.
yeah. So, for example, I have a family
That
member
was
who,
that was some 20 some odd years ago. So,
yeah, I have a family member who did something stupid when he was 18 years old, 18, 19, right?
hmm
Got disenfranchised, and I forget who, but basically he wasn't allowed to vote in any elections. But then there was a midterm election where the governor basically said, yeah, felons can vote again, if I'm not mistaken. Said the felons can vote again, so they could vote. And then they turned around and said, in the next election, no, you can't vote again, because the other guy got in and said, nope, felons can't vote now. So it's like, okay, now you have this thing that this person who did something stupid when they were 18 or 19 years old now has to mind their P's and Q's and look at this specific thing in the law to determine whether or not they can actually cast a ballot. Because if they don't, and they had the ability to do it, and some dickhead comes along and throws in this new requirement and he votes, he can go back to jail. Right? This
right.
is the kind of stupid shit. But that's, yeah, sorry, just,
No, you're fine.
I hate it.
yeah,
It's like
That's
they
why you're
just can
here.
change any rule they like to suit their needs anytime they want, and when it doesn't go their way, they throw a bitch fit and take the rule down.
yep, yep. Did you hear about what happened in, I think it was Maine? Did you hear about what happened in Maine?
No.
Okay, so Maine had a proposition, and the proposition, like how California does it, right? Where you have the proposition, it becomes law if a number of people say yes, go on ahead and do it, right? Like how laws should probably be freaking done in this country, but that's neither here nor there. Um, granted with some oversight and ability to repeat. What's the word I'm looking for? Uh, Veto, right? Um, so I think you should have, but yeah, so that's kind of like what happened, right? So the people went and passed this, but it was a supermajority or whatever, so the legislature couldn't veto the proposition, and then it went in, and then they turned around and repealed the law, right, through their actions. And I think it was for mixed delegates. So instead of one person being able to, um, if I'm not mistaken, like if winner takes all, right, in the majority of states, but some are split, right? Whereas districts can go either way, right? I think it's like Maine. I think I forget the other one that does that, but they're split delegation, so they can go either way. People said, "Hey, we want to have a split," and they said, no, that's not going to happen." Overturned it, and they turned around and passed the prop again, and they said, "No, it's not going to happen." They took it to state legislature or to the judiciary, and the judiciary basically struck down their repeals, multiple repeals of split delegation, and said, no, it's not going to be winner takes all. It's not going to be this. It's going to be allowed to be split. Right?
Good lord.
Yeah. And remember, the blue state, right? Blue states don't want split delegates. They don't want split delegates because if it's split delegates, then the cities won't be able to overpower the rest of the state. That's why they don't like it, because it fucks up their counting for the electoral college, right?
Sure.
You can't just strong arm your state to
Hmm.
have all its delegates go one way. And personally, well, I don't know. Personally, I think one state, one vote.
Yeah.
Four doors,
But-
more horrors.
Well, not one state, one vote. One county, one vote. Right. So every county that exists should be locked into stone, cannot be changed. And
Instead of all the gerrymandering that they do.
yeah, it's just county. Each one county, one vote, and it totals up and goes all the way up. That's it.
Do you think that they would actually try changing county lines if that was the case?
You can't just do that though, because it's going to cause so many problems on local government levels. And now you're talking local issues, right?
Right.
So I think if it's one county, one vote, you would see a lot of. It'd be a lot more red, for sure. But there would be a lot more emphasis put on the local governments, right?
Good.
But also saying one county, one vote for the federal level would need an amendment to the Constitution, which you're not going to be able to push something like that through unless you have a supermajority in both the House and the Senate. And, yeah, yeah, you need a supermajority in the House, the Senate, and hold the executive, right? Because you need to be able to ratify, which takes at least 2/3 votes, or 75% of the states adopt something similar. So you would need something like that. Basically, a super majority. So say 2/3. I think he needs three quarters for an amendment.
So basically, everyone bored with that shit.
Yeah, you would need 75% of the vote to be able to do something like that.
How do you get that much enthusiasm for something?
I don't know. But remember, it's only 3/4 of states, not 3/4 of people. Right? So I don't know.
Okay, let's push.
I mean, there's more people in a county than there was in a state when the states were made, right? Think about that. So yeah, it could be.
You know, the fact is, if you want honest elections, very simple. Same day voting, unless you're, again, in a faraway place, the military, or you're very sick and you have really a note from the doctor. But same day voting and
his just saying that, you know, absentee ballots or whatever, the way they are or whatever, it's not really that hard to actually get an absentee ballot or whatever and show identification to get one.
Why not
really
just do an SMS vote?
I usually do it, whatever, because it's a little bit easier than actually going down to the local courthouse.
Why not just do an SMS vote? Fuck.
Because the phone companies are involved with that.
Right?
What I'm saying is, right, you would actually have a website where you go and you click and look and this and that, right? And it shows which phone numbers voted for which parties, right? You could do something like that. People would know
on
who
the
you
internet,
are.
I don't think is the answer. Because that's what happened last time, is it was connected to the internet.
Right. I mean, I get what you're trying to say there, whatever, by going off your phone number, but you know, I can go on Google and I can go set up
You
a
can
phone
spoof
number.
phone numbers easy. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right.
Yes, you can spoof
Right.
phone numbers easy.
I could say that I'm in California and pick up a California number or whatever and just go vote in California, or you know, whatever. But
yeah, fair enough.
Susan, we're not, you know, debating on who's the president, because we all know that
Joe Biden's in the White House.
President.
Biden's absolutely the POTUS, and
right.
The way things went down, it was technically legal. So you know, there is what it is. What it is.
Mm-hmm. There's no rules in the book that say you can actually change that either.
Yeah. So I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
You know, like, all right, they got us this time.
You'll be surprised to hear this. Paper ballots. Paper ballots. The good old-fashioned way. You know, there are a lot of countries that use paper ballots. They don't have the problems that we have. They don't have names going in. Let's see, I'm going to vote for Trump, but it comes out for Biden. They don't have those little problems. No, paper ballots and same-day voting. And a Republican Congress should conduct a forensic audit.
That day off.
And we have to get rid of Mitch McConnell, by the way, just in case.
Compensated for that day off from the federal government. Sure.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. Everybody should have the day off or whatever to go vote.
Everybody gets, I don't know, election day. Everybody goes and gets, $200, $300 for the day, and they just get the whole day off, and they got to go vote.
National Voting Day.
And you're required to vote
I like it.
if you're required to vote.
And if not, somebody will come knocking and say, "What the fuck, bro?"
And if you don't, and it's not just the president who gets the majority of the vote or the most votes, but it has to be a president who gets majority of the country, right?
Yeah.
A slight difference because we've had a president that had less than I think 30%. He had less than 30% of the vote, but he became president because we had multiple parties, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the way it
So
went down.
people voted across party lines for the guy.
No, there were like three different parties, three or
No,
four
there's
different
three
parties
different
going.
parties.
Yeah, 3 or 4 different ones. I think there were 4, and he ended up winning with like 33% of the vote.
That's happened more than once where there's
Yeah.
been more than 2 parties or whatever that people have voted for or whatever, and the guy
House divided
that
cannot
won
stand.
simply won by 33%, whereas whatever, or it was like a 35% or whatever, where the other guys were under. It's kind of a weird.
Yeah.
I've looked at some of that stuff, and it's like, wow, that's interesting. There's more times that like 4 people are actually up for, or 3 people are up for election, or whatever, as opposed to just being 2 people, a one-on-one.
Hmm.
Like it has been in most recent times.
Yeah, I
It's like
think the founding fathers really screwed up, right? When they said, because they didn't allow for a motion or a process for dissolution, they caused a problem, or restructuring, right? They made a major problem. Because it says in the Constitution itself, when it is, when the people find the Constitution no longer useful or serving their interest, it is their duty to abolish it. But when it says the people, they're not talking about violent revolution. They're talking about the people who they send as representatives, right? Will vote and do all that. But they didn't outline that whole process, and that's a problem, right? They did the same thing with slavery. They said they wanted to solve it. What they did was they put basically I think it was a 20-year, was it a 40-year, something like that, 20 or 40-year moratorium, basically on slavery, in order to form the union, to maintain, actually, to maintain um, the dang it, what was it? I'm just lost my train of thought. Not train of thought, but I can't think of the word. What was the first America before the Constitution? Articles of Confederation. Thank you. The Union, the Articles of Confederation, right? Um, so, in order to help maintain that and centralize more power into the federal government to overturn, guess what? A riot that happened, and they burnt down some buildings at the Capitol because they didn't get paid. They were troops that didn't get paid for what they did during the war. Um, So yeah, if you ever watch, right, things that happen where like people get unruly, it doesn't help the people, it always helps the federal government.
right.
Always, always, always. And the way it was, but they didn't add in this provision in the Constitution to be able to basically cause dissolute, basically abolish and form up a new one. And that's what led to the bloodiest war in American history. And that's what's led to all these problems over such a long period of time. It's because every time a problem comes up, everybody says, "Hey, I'm going to take this stick and beat you with it," right? So what government really is it's a stick you can use to either be beat with or to beat your opponent with, right? That's what the federal government is, and that's a problem. So
Yeah, I agree with you.
just the form of governments and how they work and everything, it drives me nuts. But the fact that they didn't put in that provision kind of leads us to where we are now. And it would be much better if there was some kind of way where every 80 years, we'll say, right, there had to be a convention of states where the whole thing was thrown out and new verbiage had to be drawn up once every 80 years, right? And it had to go back to the people and this and that. People had to really, really get engaged. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you had something like that where it had to happen that way every 80 years, then it would be a lot more for the people as far as pulling it back.
I mean,
It's like
then
reviewing.
you actually go back to the beginning of how long this is. How it's actually been a country of the United States of America, and it's only been 150 years. So I mean,
Well, people forget after 80 years, I think that's a great idea.
it
Because it's
is.
like, all right, the
It's a
next
very good idea.
generation would be just starting to come in, take over, and they're getting into their own now, and all of a sudden, hey, what's this, and this? Well, it's 80 years now. We gotta look at that here.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't get bureaucratic bloat.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean
Beautiful.
it would shy a lot of people out of getting into those kinds of things, right? And help reduce bureaucratic bloat because if people are yeah,
Right. You'd have term limits, and you'd have other things that would actually come up because
there'd
people
be a lot of stuff that the people want put in that would have to be put in before the
Right.
people approve the damn thing.
Right. As
What
opposed
do
to
you guys
just being
think?
some delegate that's
What do you guys think about a rehabilitation program for the super rich who are just corrupt as hell?
it's gonna end up, it'd be like this with the going back to the prison thing or whatever. It wouldn't
isn't
work the way
rich.
they actually could go.
Wealthy.
That's my thought on it.
I think we
I
should
see what
just
you're
sit him
saying.
down with like a regular Joe for like a year or so.
And that's where we just need term limits so that these people don't actually have this issue.
Oh, I'm not necessarily
Are the
talking about
ability
people in
for
power
any
even.
kind of trades, any kind of emoluments, anything like that for their entire remainder of their life. They're not allowed to work anywhere. They're not allowed to receive money for doing anything like that. They're not
Mhm.
allowed to receive gifts. They're not allowed to be a lobbyist. You're not basically you go to an island and you go into exile. But while you're there, you will get paid and stipend and taken care of for the rest of your life. But you will not ever be a part of the economy ever again. You will not ever be able to do stocks. You will not ever be able to do that anything like that. Nobody will be able to gift you anything, but
Interesting
you will
thought.
be compensated for $400,000 a year your entire life. So it's basically
Which is
like,
what you
guess
should
what?
have been making.
Yeah. So it's like, here you go. This is it for the rest of your life. Go pound sand. And so that's really and that's kind of what happens now, right? If somebody serves, I think it serves in Congress, right? And then you get out, you still get paid that amount the rest of your life, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it sounds
Huh?
about right.
I know you're guaranteed a government position for the rest of your life.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Okay, let's push on.
Yep.
A forensic audit into the hundreds of millions of dollars that Mark Zuckerberg dumped into local election offices. And you take a look at what he's done. You just take a look at what they did. He put in 417. You know, if you spend more than $5,600, they put you in jail. This guy spent $417 million, and most of it went to the Democrats, almost all of it, and nothing happens. But to make these critical reforms between now and the time that's so important to make them, we have to act, and we have to act fast, and we have to act strong. Our country is going to be bigger and better and stronger than ever before. We're going to stage a comeback, the likes of which nobody has ever seen.
Oh, he just realized he wasn't clapping. Come on, look at this, bad boy.
What was that?
Oh, the fed boy on the left. He was standing there, everybody was clapping. He was looking around everywhere, and then he's like, "Oh yeah," and he started
Oh yeah,
clapping.
I should clap a couple times.
I'm gonna cheer by putting my hand up in the air, but not opening my mouth and saying
We need
anything.
every one of you to pour out your heart and soul into ensuring the radical Democrats go down in a midterm defeat so crushing they cannot steal it or corrupt it. Starting with
Okay,
your
slow down,
ultra
slow.
left-wing senator here in Arizona, Mark Kelly, who only fights to allow your border to remain open and an open cesspool of illegal immigrants that are pouring into Arizona on a daily basis. He is a disaster who supports H.R. 1 and all the Democrats' corrupt schemes to destroy election integrity nationwide. He's a disaster. And you have some great people running, and I'll be making an endorsement at the right time, I'll tell you that. But we'll be making an endorsement, and amid the worst border crisis in history, Kelly's voted repeatedly for open borders in Arizona. How the hell did you elect this guy? He voted against the border wall, against Remain in Mexico, against deporting violent criminal aliens. And we have some angel moms with us today, and I think they are the greatest people. I became friendly with them 4 years ago. These are the greatest people, how they have suffered. His story on
Go back.
mass
Did you see him fix his
amnesty,
fucking earpiece?
sanctuary cities,
Go back
and
like 15
stimulus
seconds.
checks for illegal
Is it good?
immigrants.
Okay, so now here's the issue with going back. I can go back, but I can't use my keyboard because the network that I'm on, the RSPN, does not allow that function to work. So
Oh, okay, okay.
it's kind of I
Never
can't do
mind
like
then.
a
He just
5
fixed
second
his. He
thing
just
or
fixed his ear. So anybody who's watched this after the fact, the guy on the left, he fixed his ear.
like it's underneath his hat, and then he fixes it.
Yeah, watch.
Mark Kelly,
back,
who only fights to allow your border to remain open and an open
Was it
cesspool.
still further back?
No, I'm talking the one on the left with the camo hat.
This guy here, yeah.
Yeah. Watch. It's funny.
Of illegal immigrants that are pouring into Arizona on a daily basis.
Super stiff.
He is a disaster who supports H.R. 1 and all the Democrats' corrupt schemes to destroy election integrity
watch, buddy.
nationwide. He's a disaster. And you have some great people running, and I'll be making an endorsement at the right time, I'll tell you that. But we'll be making an endorsement, and amid the worst border crisis in history, Kelly's voted repeatedly for open borders in Arizona. How the hell did you elect this guy? He voted against the border wall, against Remain in Mexico, against deporting violent criminal aliens.
Is that Ray Epps?
And we have some angel moms with us today, and I think they are the greatest people. I became friendly with them 4 years ago. These are the greatest
he
people,
comes. Here he comes.
how they have suffered.
There he goes.
His story on mass amnesty, sanctuary cities, and stimulus checks for illegal immigrants that you pay for. You're paying for all of this. Illegal immigrants now are being treated better than veterans. They're being given medical, they're being given housing, they're being given educations, and the veterans are being given nothing. It's crazy. Mark Kelly voted yes on Joe Biden's brutal attacks on American energy. Democrats, socialists, spending, and really of driving runaway inflation, and he's driving it through the roof. And by the way, I have teleprompters that are moving all over the hell of them. And it seems the thing they like the best is when we just get off those damn things and talk right straight from the heart. You ever read a teleprompter where it's waving like you're on a ship and you're starting to get seasick as you talk? Good job of tying up those teleprompters, fella. I'm stuck up here with 55,000 people or something, and I got a teleprompter that's useless. Useless. Good job, fellas. Look at the wind. Look at those flags. Look at those flags. What a beautiful sight in one way, but in another way you say, man, it's windy. Less than 10 months from now, Arizona is going to send the ultra-leftist Mark Kelly out of Washington in disgrace. And you're going to send a proud and tough Republican patriot to the U.S. Senate to make America great again. You know, we made America great.
Again.
And I was going to use that. I had a wonderful theme. It was keep America great, but I can't use that anymore. Keep America great. Because frankly, whether you like it or not, and some people won't like, America is not great now. We're a laughing stock all over the world. And you know, I really think the borders are a horror show, but I really think that the Afghan withdrawal, the way they did it so incompetently with moving the military out first, leaving thousands of people as hostages, leaving that equipment. I really think that the Afghan withdrawal did more to hurt our country than any single event that I've ever seen. And I think maybe it's the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. This November, you're also going to elect an outstanding new governor. And I'll tell you, you better do a good job, Carrie. I'll come here. I will not be nice. If she doesn't do a great job, I'll say, Carrie.
Oh, that's Katie Lake.
I don't like you anymore, but I don't think we have to worry about it. I don't think we have to. But Carrie will be a warrior for the people of Arizona. She'll be strong on the border, tough on crime. She's very
Rodman,
tough on crime and very
about.
strong on the border.
Okay.
And always support our amazing veterans. You know, the Trump administration had a 92% approval rating with respect to the vets. It's the highest by 32 points. You know, for years I'd be turning on the television and watching the news. It was more real then. Perhaps it was fake also, I don't know, but it was more real. And all you'd see would be how badly veterans are treated. You see it happen so often. If you just take a look, you haven't seen that in years. My people did an unbelievable job in so many ways, rebuilding the military and everything else. But my people did a great job on taking care of our vets. What we did was incredible. You know, we had legislation passed where if you're a vet and you can't get good service, you go to a local doctor and we pay for it. That saved so many veterans. Carrie will stop radical indoctrination in our children's schools. Most of all, Carrie will be a tireless champion for election integrity. I really think she's going to be incredible for election integrity. I think it's almost her number one issue. She's not happy when she sees this happen, and the people in this incredible crowd aren't happy. We're pleased to be joined tonight by many great Republican leaders. We have some great ones. I already mentioned a man that was so incredible on this election situation. Senators came and they said, wow, we heard this, and they had no answers because the right man asked the right question. And he's Congressman Andy Biggs, and he's a great guy. Andy, where's Andy? Where are you, Andy? Where's Andy? Thank you. Thank you. He's a great guy. Thank you. Paul Gosar. Paul. Thanks, Paul. Paul has been incredible. He's tough. You probably know that here. He is tough. That I can tell you, he's tough. And a woman I've really gotten to know and respect, and a woman that fought like hell on impeachment hoax number 1 and impeachment hoax number 2, Debbie Lesko. Debbie. Thank you, Debbie. It was good having her on my side, I can tell you. Thank you. Having them all on my side was good. Thank you. Thank Paul. Thank you, Andy. Another woman who's been with me from the beginning, Kelly Townsend, who I hear will be running for Congress, and she will be incredible. Kelly, wherever you may be, good luck. And I hear we have at least one of our U.S. Senate candidates, and a very successful guy, a really terrific guy, Blake Masters. Blake? Where's Blake? Thank you. Thank you, Blake. Thank you. State senators, oh, this one, she's so great. Wendy Rogers. Where's Wendy? Thank you, Wendy. Thank you. Sonny Borelli. Sonny Borelli. Tough and smart, and I love Italian, so you know. He's definitely Italian, and he's a great guy, and he's a fighter. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you very much. And Karen Fan has been absolutely terrific, and we want to thank Karen
How does he
Fan.
know he's Italian? You grab him
And
by
a
the boot?
future state senator, Anthony Kern, and his wife Jenny, they're here. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you very much for being here. A woman who's done an incredible job, and she's just starting the fight, but
Yeah,
she's
it's
winning the fight.
picking up real bad. I think
Arizona
I'm gonna bounce.
GOP Chair, Kelly Ward.
All right.
Thank you,
You
Kelly.
have a good night.
Bye, Grim.
Thank you, Kelly. Thanks, Kelly. Great job.
What's up?
You have a good night.
Final County Sheriff. This guy's central casting, I gotta tell you.
I think it actually stabilized now. I was having some weird lag issues.
Oh, good stuff.
Oh, it was just their network or whatever it was.
I said, if we're doing a movie on sheriffs,
okay.
I'm picking you to the lead. Sheriff Mark Lamb. Thank you. Hey. He's popular.
There he is.
Sheriff. Sheriff, would you like to run for another office? I think that's a big head you got, Sheriff. Thank you for everything. And hey, Sheriff, is it true these cars went back 20, 25 miles? You've never seen one like this, have you? Thank you. It's all online, and it is online, too. Thanks, Sheriff. It's a popular guy. We have a man from Texas with us, and he's a fighter like you haven't seen before. Attorney General, and he's got some very good poll numbers, I have to tell you. I just saw him today.
Trump heard him say
Ken
that.
Paxton. Ken. Thanks, Ken.
He's got some
He's a
good leads.
fantastic guy. A woman who's been with me right from the beginning, and she's been great on criminal justice reform and helping us in so many ways. Alveda King. Alveda. Thank you. And Pam Bondi. Where is Pam? I saw Pam there. Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi is great. She was the Attorney General of Florida for a long time, and she's never looked better. She was just an incredible person who's been with me right from the beginning. And a man named Charlie Kirk. Do you know Charlie? Where's Charlie? Where's Charlie?
That is such an honest love for the crowd.
What a
and
job
community.
he's done. You know, he looks like a little bit older, but I heard the other day how young. I can't believe how young you are. And a person that I know you've never heard of because he doesn't believe in advertising. He hates advertising. Mike Lindell. The Pillow Man. Where's Mike? Thank you, Mike.
Another My Pillow guy.
I always say Mike
Yes.
is the single greatest purchaser of ads in history. I don't know what deal you make, but you can negotiate my advertising anytime, Mike. But he's a great
Ooh.
man, a great gentleman. Another one who's a real fighter, a lawyer, tough and smart, working on a lot of different things. Boris, now most people call him Epstein, but I call him Boris Epstein because that's the way. Epstein, which is where the way they say it in his original country, and he's been incredible and a fighter. Boris, hi Boris.
Epstein. Yeah.
Boris Epstein.
Oh my god, dude.
Ambassador Rick Grinnell, one of the greats. He's one of the
Rick
greatest
TikTok, bro.
people. One of the greatest people. Thanks, Rick.
Chicken TikTok, bro.
What a great job. He
Okay,
went in there,
I'm
I
on
tell you what.
What are you
I just
talking
got
about?
I just got a notification. He's saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I could play. Well, it was a misspeak, but it was hilarious.
Vaccination's the only path to a return to normalcy. Almost 4 months into the vaccination effort, providers are beginning to run out of people who want to be immunized.
Did you get that?
He was the ambassador to Germany,
I didn't
and
catch
when
it.
I took him out, the happiest woman in the world was Angela Merkel. He was so, you know why? Because he was pro-America. It's called Make a...
Almost 4 months into the vaccination effort, providers are beginning to run out of people who want to be immunized.
Oh, okay. Susan, we're
This is
not
a
doctors.
misspeak
We're
on
not
the
trying to tell
news.
people what to
That's
do.
all
You
it is. It's
go see
just
your
funny.
doctor and do what's best for you.
Yeah, it's just a misspeak on the
Anna.
news that was funny. That's
Just a
all it is.
Freudian
That's
slip.
funny.
That's all, Susan.
Make America great again. It's called America First. And Rick Grinnell was fantastic, and he did a great job after that. We brought him back. He was so good, we brought him back. I said, I want to have him in our country. And the next Arizona Secretary of State, a man who's tough and smart and loves our country, a man who you must get elected along with Kerry. You have to get him, Mark Fincham. Mark. He's great. He'll get to the bottom of everything.
look at
You
that
think you'll get
hat.
to the bottom of it,
The
Mark?
hat is
I do
classic.
think so. I do think so. He will. You got to work hard for him. He's a patriot.
Big fella.
And thanks also to the many supporters of Arizona Life Coalition. You know, you got a big setback with this election like you never thought possible. But to the Arizona Life Coalition, I want to thank you very much for being here. And you'll be back where you want to be in hopefully a short period of time. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. In less than 1 year, Joe Biden and the radical Democrats have brought our country to the brink of ruin. And all I can tell you is the people that are telling the truth in America, like One American News, are being threatened. Does everybody like One America? I love One American News.
Oh, come on. Come on, give Project
By the way,
Veritas
these
a shout
cameras,
out.
you know, they're back there. They're covering this. They don't like hearing the stuff I'm saying. I just see the red lights, they go off one after another. As soon as I'm going to mention CNN and how bad their ratings are, you see the CNN camera go off. But you know what? One American News has done a great job. And here's the story, what just happened. The woke executives, I don't know what the hell they're doing. They have so much debt. AT&T is a company that is in serious trouble. And they need AT&T. And AT&T saying that they may no longer agree to carry this network that's doing very well. You know why? Because people told them not to do it. So maybe what we should do is not use AT&T. You know, if we did what they do to Republican companies, we would have no difficulty. We just don't do it. It seems like not nice, right? But they're not nice. I want to just thank the Herrings are here, Charles and Robert, wherever you may be. But these are patriots. These are great, great men. Where are you? What people? Thank you very much. Thank you, Robert. Thank you very much. So I don't know what this is. This is horrible. This is a great network. These are great people. I watch it all the time, and you really get the truth. And they want to cancel them now because of politics, for purely political reasons. It's a disgrace what's going on. But I don't think the people are going to stand for it, especially with One American News. The job you've done, you really should be commended, both you and Robert. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Robert. It said, please don't mention the word boycott, so I won't mention it. I'm not going to use the word boycott.
So he brought up OAN and AT&T. It says that AT&T took 5% ownership of OAN to allow them to broadcast on DirecTV. They were going to do it elsewhere, but it didn't turn out the way they wanted it to, so they only got to DirecTV. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Boycott. I will not say boycott AT&T because I promised Robert I will not do it. So I will not say boycott them.
I won't say it. I won't say it at all. I
Don't
won't
lose
say
hope.
anything about
Don't lose
boycotting
hope. Our
anybody.
country will
but,
be great
you know,
again,
boycott
and with
them.
your help,
If anyone
we
says
will again
boycott
be
TNT,
putting
I'll
America
kick
first,
their
and very soon, because we're not putting America first anymore. When we knock down and when we do what we did with the Russian pipeline, how about this? I end the Russian pipeline in Europe, and then I hear Trump is soft on Russia. It's the biggest thing they've ever done, and the sanctions and everything else. And then Biden comes in his first week, he approves the Russian pipeline. I ended it. And now they're going to be selling energy all over Europe. When Republicans take it, and then they say Biden is tough on Russia. Biden is not tough on Russia. Biden's not, he's only tough on Republicans, and that's not him. That's the cabal that surrounds him. When Republicans take control of Congress, one of our very top priorities will be to stop the flood of illegal aliens across our southern border. Under my administration, with the help of two great men, these are great men, Tom Homan, did you ever hear of Tom Homan? You never want to get in a fight with Tom Homan. And Mark Morgan, these are two great men, and they had help from others. We did such a job on the border. They knew exactly what they were doing, and we did that job. And as I said before, we had the greatest and most secure border in U.S. history. All Biden had to do is go to the beach. Just go to the beach. We had a policy, stay in Mexico. You don't have to know what it is, but makes sense. We ended catch and release. We ended asylum fraud. We struck breakthrough agreements with Mexico and Central American countries. I ended payments to all of these countries because they weren't behaving at all. They were sending us their prisoners. They were sending us a lot of bad people. I said, how much money do we give to El Salvador? How much money do we give to these countries? How much money are we giving to various, including Mexico? And I have a lot of respect for the president of Mexico. Yes, he may be a socialist, but I like him. And, you know, remember, he gave us 28,000 soldiers while we were building the wall. That's why we had such great numbers, even with 28,000 soldiers for nothing. We paid nothing. Now, I did say that if you don't give them to us, we're going to put tariffs on the cars coming in, but we don't have to go into that.
That's freaking.
We expedited removals and deported dangerous criminal aliens by the thousands. And we built nearly 500 miles of border wall. 3 weeks it would have been finished. In 3 weeks. And it took 2.5 years to get started because they had all of these lawsuits, 11 of them. We won every one of them. But we had 11 lawsuits brought by Nancy Pelosi, mostly in Congress. And we built almost 500 miles of wall, and we built in Arizona 225 miles right here. And your senator, by the way, I think he's going to want to take them down. Let's take down the wall. And these walls are tough. These are exactly what they wanted. I went to Homan, I went to Mark Morgan, and I said, what do you want exactly? And they brought all of the Border Patrol people up to Washington. And we had a meeting, and we got the wall. They wanted everything. They wanted steel and concrete. They wanted rebar. They wanted wires going through all parts of the wall so they can hook up high technology. We gave them everything. Joe Biden took this unprecedented success, and he made it the greatest border calamity in the history, I think, of the world. I don't think there's a worse border in the world. I don't care if it's a third world or fourth world country. There is no border so bad as the border we have. We went from the best border we've ever had in a period of 1 year to the worst border we've ever had. Over 2 million illegal aliens have trespassed across our borders, but that's also a fake number given by the press and others. Because the number, I think, could be 10 times that amount. I think we're talking about tens of millions of people are pouring into this country. We see certain people and we sort of mark it down. Well, that's the number, but it's not. I think we have tens of millions of people, and these are not necessarily people that we want in our country. And that includes with the so-called airlift that they tried to take credit for. 3% of the people qualified to be on that airlift. 97% of the people, you'll be hearing from them in years to come, in many cases. We also saw a record number of migrant children arriving at our border because Democrats' very cruel policies are pushing vulnerable youths into the arms of child smugglers, human traffickers, and very vicious criminal cartels. What the criminal cartels are doing to women and children, unbelievable. And you know, the trafficking is mostly in women. What they're doing to women is horrible. Yet despite all of this, Biden, Pelosi, Schumer, the whole group and the radical left are still hell-bent on passing mass amnesty for illegal aliens. one of the highest priorities when Republicans take back Congress and eventually the White House will be to have a massive increase in the number of ICE officers and Border Patrol officers so that we can find and detain and deport every one of the illegal aliens that Joe Biden has released into our country. We should also pass a law that says that sanctuary city officials who knowingly release criminals will be charged as accessories in any future crimes. You know, sanctuary cities, it protects some very, very evil people are in sanctuary cities, totally protected. It's crazy. It's what the hell are they thinking? Thereby ending the whole concept of sanctuary cities, and we did a lot of it. But we didn't quite, the clock ran out unexpectedly. In addition to Biden's border disaster, there's also the Afghanistan disaster, the single greatest foreign policy humiliation in American history. And because of Joe Biden's utter incompetence, and really the military leaders, some of whom I know, their gross incompetence, you look at the numbers of people killed and the equipment and everything that happened, and as we could talk about it all night long, and the fake news won't talk about it at all. We took in tens of thousands of totally unvetted people. We have no idea where the hell they come from, what their ideology is. And by the way, I want to wish our best wishes and good luck and Godspeed to the hostages right now in Texas, taking place right now. You probably heard about it. It just happened. Hostages in Texas. Not a good situation. You'll see what happens, and you'll see who it is that's holding so dangerously those hostages. I think I have a pretty good idea. So far, not a single member of the administration has yet been fired for Afghanistan. You know, normally when something like that happens, you fire the generals or you fire somebody. But make no mistake, under a Republican Congress, they will be held accountable. They have to be. Under our administration, America was respected again and respected like never before. We restored America leadership. We fully rebuilt the U.S. military. We created the first new branch of the armed forces in 75 years, and that's the Space Force. 75 years. We also achieved the long-sought goal of energy independence. Nobody thought that was possible. We had so much energy, we didn't know what the hell to do with it. You know, I filled up these strategic reserves, by the way, which nobody talks about, but, you know, now Biden's using what I did to try and lower the price of energy, which is not working too well.
Which I just did an article on the other day that, you know, gas prices really, they didn't, just because they dropped a few pennies in the last few months, they've actually gone back up those few pennies. So it's not that it's really doing all that well.
But upon taking office, Biden caved to the radical left, and he did a job on so many things like the Paris Climate Accord, which rips off our country, and canceled the Keystone XL pipeline while, as we said, approving the Russian pipeline. Every item on the Pelosi, Biden, Schumer agenda is crazier and more delusional than the last. But this November, we have a chance to do something really spectacular, to bring these Marxist monstrosities to a screeching halt. A great red wave is going to begin right here in Arizona, and it's going to sweep across this country, and it's going to wash hundreds and hundreds and thousands of Democrat socialists out of office with an unstoppable surge of Republican patriots, and they're going to be doing it. You're going to be heading to the polls. This is maybe the most important election we've ever had, but I do believe that 2024 will be even more important. This is the year we are going to take back the House, we are going to take back the Senate, and we are going to take back America. This is so important. And in 2024, we are going to take back the White House. With a Republican Congress, we will fight for more jobs for
Will they actually use the White House on like it's being done now?
American families, fair trade for American workers, and more American factories forging more products stamped with those very, very beautiful words, made in the USA. We will shut down Joe Biden's border disaster. We will again end catch and release. We will quickly complete the border wall, very quickly, very fast. We will end chain migration. We will make sure that these people that are illegally admitted to our country have to share, if they're staying, they have to share our values. They have to love our country. They cannot blow up our country. They have to love our country. They have to love our people. We will hold China accountable for unleashing the virus and charge them trillions of dollars for the damage and suffering they have caused us. But look at...
Did you say something?
Yeah, he said they have to love our country, not blow up our country. It's like, yeah, I think that should be a prerequisite.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to actually, care about the other, care about others that are actually around. You can't just, be so selfish that you wanted to go destroy everything.
What they've done to the world, what they have done.
Right? What do we got left? We got about 10 minutes left on this guy.
To the world. We will break up big
I doubt
and
it's even 10
restore the
minutes. I
right
bet
to
it's
free
less because
speech
then
in
you mentioned that
America.
they probably
We will protect
breaking the
innocent
song and
life.
dance.
We will defend our Constitution. We will defend the Second Amendment. We will proudly uphold the Judeo-Christian values and principles of our nation's founding. We will stop the Biden crime wave in our Democrat-run cities, and we will crack down on violent criminals, and we will give our police officers our 100% support. There will be no defunding of our law enforcement in any way, shape, or form. We will ban critical race theory in our classrooms. We will ban it in our military. We will ban it from our workplaces. And we will ban it from our federal, state, and local governments. We will restore patriotic education to our schools, and we will teach our children to love their country, honor their history, and to always respect our great American flag.
Yes. Respect the flag.
And we will ban men from participating in women's sports.
Yeah.
There you go.
Did you see the swimmer that's breaking records like by 30 seconds? They had a record for 9 years, the record held. And then this guy decides to go try out for the
Grow
team.
his hair.
He was on the men's team, then he went on the women's team.
And he was
So
shit
he broke
on
a
the men's
record.
team.
You know, if you win by 1/10 of 1 second faster, 1/10, he won by 32 seconds. And the weightlifter. So this is a record that stood for 11 years. They put up an ounce, a little ounce on each side, an ounce. But the record stood for 11 years. This weightlifter comes along. He didn't even lift weights before. Bing, bing, bing.
Bing.
He broke it by numbers that you wouldn't even believe. How ridiculous is it? And it's so unfair to women. It's so unfair to women. Our MAGA movement is by far the greatest political movement in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. And even the fake news doesn't dispute it. I say it all the time, and the fake news can't dispute it. That's a lot of fake news back there, too. Considering they can't stand me, that's a lot of news. They are just, you could save America. You could save America. But it's all about America first, great schools, good jobs, strong military, growing economy, and pride in our country. That's all we want. Together, we're standing up against some of the most sinister forces, entrenched interests, and corrupt opponents that anyone on our shores has ever seen before. But no matter how big or powerful the opposition may be, you must never forget our nation does not belong to them. Our nation belongs to you. Belongs to you. And it belongs to you, Christina. This is your home. This is your heritage. And our magnificent American liberty is your God-given right. From Phoenix to Tombstone, from Flagstaff to Florence, from Mesa to Yuma to the Red Rocks of Sedona, we stand on the shoulders of red-blooded American patriots who poured out their heart, sweat, and soul for our country and for our freedom. This great state was settled by some of the toughest men and strongest women ever to walk the face of the earth. Arizona is where Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, they were tough, became American legends. It's where the great American West became the American dream. And Arizona is the state where generations of pioneers and prospectors, miners and ranchers, cowboys and cattle hands, marshals and lawmen, tamed the frontier, braved the blazing sun, and showed the entire world how the West was won. So big, so important. They gave everything they had to make America into the greatest country in the history of the world, and we will never let any socialist or communist movement take that away from us. There is no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet. There is no victory we cannot have, as long as we remember that we are strong and proud and mighty Americans with faith in our hearts, grit in our souls, and courage in our veins. And that's what you have. We are the Americans who will make America great again. We are going to make America great again. We had already done it, and now we're going to have to do it again. We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never back down. We will stand proudly for our flag.
How many songs does he want to
And we
sing?
will start talking about greatness for our country again. My fellow Americans, make America great again, and all that that represents. And it has only just begun. We have only just begun. Because we are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. We will make America united again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Arizona. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That was all right.
Stay at the YMCA.
Right.
Stay at the YMCA.
I'm going to leave it play the last few minutes because I'm sure he's going to break out into dance somewhere in there.
Please, please. For you to enjoy.
There it is.
You can hang with all the boys. Fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at
So then
the
this is a special show. So,
YMCA.
anybody that wants to follow either myself or Jimmy, I will have our links in the description. Don't forget to check us out and see what we're actually doing. Jimmy's got a bunch of fun stuff out there right now. I will be back Tuesday afternoon.
Look at that. They just love him.
Right, everybody just they're like, yeah. They changed the music out after the song ended.
Oh, look at those flags. This is
Yeah,
beautiful.
everything's just so windy.
They're just waving at him, man. Wow.
Yeah. Everybody loved the man, loves this man, and hopefully something actually changes here in the next few years, and we can all be excited about what's coming. Um, looks like he's got another 30 seconds left on there. We're just gonna end the stream right straight out once they actually cut away.
Sounds good.
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah,
You guys have a good
absolutely.
night.
It was fun. Good lulls.
Later, everybody.
Bye, guys.